decline medical attention. Forecasters warning of the possibility of more severe weather for coastal California, where earlier this week a powerful storm collapsed part of the historic Santa Cruz Wharf.
Santa Cruz Mayor Fred Healy says the city will focus on immediate response and cleanup efforts after high surf slammed the coast. A section at the end of the city's 110-year-old wharf collapsed into the Pacific Monday. Repairs to the wharf were reportedly delayed after an environmental and preservationist group's lawsuit delayed changes to the structure by several years. The San Francisco Chronicle reported that the city had planned to reinforce the wharf, but the proposal faced a lawsuit from the group Don't Morph the Wharf, which caused repairs to be delayed and also caused part of the project to be abandoned. Tasha Stevens reporting.
President-elect Trump's GoFundMe page dedicated to Hurricane Helene relief was a smashing success, raising more than $8 million, according to Mr. Trump. The funds will help victims of the storm that devastated parts of Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas. It is back to work today for Wall Street. Following the Christmas break, stocks may be opening lower later this morning. The Dow futures down 161 points. NASDAQ futures off 78. S&P futures down 22 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Okay, every new year we all spend a few days seriously thinking about what we can do to improve our lives. Usually it revolves around better health, right? I want to strongly encourage you to do what I do. Take responsibility for your health by taking Balance of Nature's whole food ingredient supplements. Seriously, they're packed with 31 varieties of fruits and vegetable ingredients, from tomatoes to sweet potatoes and just about everything in between. This is a resolution you can truly keep all year long, like I do. This is your last time to put it off, because today you can become a preferred customer at Balance of Nature. Use my discount code MikeG to get 35% off, free shipping, plus a free fiber and spice supplement. This is an unbelievable limited New Year's promotion. You got to use the discount code MikeG. Call 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use the discount code MikeG or order online at balanceofnature.com. Balanceofnature.com. Use the discount code MikeG to get 35% off, plus a free fiber and spice supplement. Balance of Nature.com.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. When you head out early, a few of us are seeing these very small showers, and there's also some dense fog developing for places to the west. I don't expect the fog to be a widespread problem, but just watch for it if you are going to be out and about early today. Temperatures this afternoon under cloud cover will top out near 52 degrees. Watch for more rain to move in tonight. That continues through Friday, as well as rain chances into the weekend. And that's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Senior Memorial. With the average funeral bill being over $9,000, are your loved ones prepared? Call 314-866-8886 or memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
Tim Jones here. I want to tell you about an awesome business located in my hometown of Eureka, Missouri that we use all the time for our exterior homestead needs. Eureka Contracting and Roofing. Veteran owned. They will come to you and schedule a one-on-one consultation. They know that replacing your roof or anything on the exterior of your home is always a really big deal, which is why they've always got a no pressure, no obligation inspection and evaluation. Fully licensed and insured. Nothing but the highest quality of materials made right here in the USA. 636-938-ROOF. 636-938-ROOF. EurekaContracting.com. That's EurekaContracting.com.
Need reliable auto service from people you can trust? Look no further than Western Tire and Auto. For over 15 years, we've been your complete automotive repair center, family owned and operated, with owner Dean Kleethermes bringing 30 years of industry experience. At Western Tire and Auto, you're not just a customer, you're family. We promise 100% satisfaction, treating you with the transparency, respect, and honesty you deserve. Visit us in St. Peters or in Florissant. For appointments, call or check westerntireauto.com. Western Tire and Auto, your local automotive experts since 2008.
Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL.
Our responsibility.
News, analysis, and opinion.
To provide updated guidance.
At 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
Morning, folks. Gabe Pfeiffer here, sitting in for Mike Ferguson in the morning here. I've got Jerome on the on the wheels of steel for Stell, but I'm going to bring you the news dump. So, look, A suspect was arrested after a random stabbing spree inside the Grand Central Station in New York City on Christmas Eve left 2 victims wounded. So a spokesperson for the New York City Police Department confirmed to Fox News Digital that 28-year-old Jason Sargent of Brooklyn was arrested for the assault on 2 random people. Police said a 42-year-old man was the first victim and was attacked on the stairs leading to the southbound entrance of the station. Sargent allegedly slashed the man across his left wrist following an argument, and moments later, police said Sargent reportedly confronted a 26-year-old female victim and slashed her on the neck near a turnstile during a second altercation. EMS responded and transported both victims to the local hospitals, where they both remain in stable condition. New York City subways are still not safe.
Holy cow! All of this and just in New York in the past few days.
Just in the past few days. Here's the thing. This was New York Grand Central Station is supposed to be the safe place. In among all of the stations in the subway system in New York, Grand Central is the biggest, it's the prettiest, everybody's moving through. You basically should not have time to deal with any of the shenanigans that you hear about happening, like in the cars or at certain stations that have particular histories. Grand Central is supposed to be your safe space. The fact that we've got 2 people stabbed basically in quick succession here suggests that that's not the case anymore.
Didn't they also announce that there's a big plan to put National Guard members in a lot of these different subway areas just to ensure safety in New York?
I heard there was some talk about that. The mayor of New York has been making allusions to wanting to make the city safe again. But of course, it all falls on deaf ears because these people have been supplanting any idea of law and order in their cities for ages now. Blue cities have basically been free fire zones for all criminals everywhere because of first of all the embrace of the defund the police stuff, all kinds of police organizations, police officers being thrown under the bus in various situations. And of course, there's the illegal immigration, which imports more criminals on top of the fact that we can't keep control of our own. So, there you go.
And it's sad to think because, again, Daniel Penny, his whole thing was he wanted to prevent that from happening on the train he was on. And look what happened to him. So we're not probably going to see anybody that's willing to step up and get in the way of this because they don't want to have to be, dragged through the ringer like that again.
Absolutely. And I mean, I mentioned this I said this on Twitter not too long ago about if Penny got, prosecuted. I said, okay, if Penny goes to prison for this, then, forget all the good Samaritanism that used to kind of pervade American culture. I was kind of predicting the death knell. But it's sad to say that just his indictment to begin with has probably eroded as much, if not more, willingness of people to step in these situations. You had the one lady who was set on fire on a New York police, subway train. So there's who's going to do anything except pull out their phones anymore.
Yeah, and going back to the poor woman that was, engulfed in flames.
Yeah.
I saw the video and it looked like there were 2 officers that were just kind of walking back and forth, just kind of monitoring, but it didn't seem like there was any urgency to try to put out the fire to go see if there's an extinguisher.
Oh,
somewhere.
no, everybody was just kind of watching. It's like, oh my gosh. The humanity, basically, while they watch a human burn.
And then, but that goes into the whole, people talk about, well, why don't we need guns? Because police will protect us. Why do you need a gun to protect yourself? Well, I think that irrefutably now we can say that's not the case.
Oh, absolutely.
I would maybe we need to bring back trolleys because it doesn't seem like these trains are very safe anymore.
Exactly. Keep above ground.
Yeah.
Who knows? All right. In our next story here, we got back in 1992, attorney Ken Padowitz, as a homicide prosecutor at the time, was the first to introduce a computer animated scene into evidence. Now acting as a defense attorney, it seems Padowitz has made another technological first in the courtroom.
The judge, the prosecution, and the defense spent most of their time in a stand your ground hearing wearing virtual reality headsets. Now, the defense attorney believes this to be the first time VR has been admitted as evidence in a criminal case across the United States. The defense hired a forensic animator to design an immersive experience that highlights the moments before and after a South Florida wedding venue owner pulled out a gun during a reception. Miguel Albizu's attorney attorney said he was allegedly cornered against a bar and drew the weapon to protect himself, his family, and staff. He now faces 9 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
Man, so what do you make of the changes now that are coming for our courtrooms?
I'm actually getting quite afraid, to be honest. I understand doing like CGI recreations under certain circumstances,
Sure.
and just for the sake of like a visual for the jury. But it seems like the more that technology advances, the more that they're allowing into courtrooms. I mean, who's to say how many more experts are going to need to really articulate whether it's an accurate representation or not?
Right. I mean, that's a really good point, because while I like the idea, just in the abstract of being able to immerse the people who are going to be making these decisions in the situation that you're in, because this is a stand your ground case, basically. So someone says, I was afraid for my life, that's why I pulled out my gun. So now what happens is the jury, the judge, they all put on their Oculus Rift, helmets, and now they are in the same situation as the man to say, oh, I probably would have drawn my gun in this situation too. You know what I mean? So I could absolutely get behind that concept. But then you bring up a really good point. Well, who's to say that that was an accurate representation of what's being described here? It's like now we got to argue about whether or not the recreation is accurate, whether, so it creates some issues, but I kind of like the idea though.
In concept, I would definitely agree with that. I feel like it becomes, now you have that subjective element of, is this something that somebody like, a woke snowflake, they're going to be afraid no matter what, versus, if you have the right person where it's like they've grown up in a certain environment and they're like, oh no, I would know how to totally do that without shooting the guy. I think it's interesting. I just hope it was well tested before they brought it into court.
Sure. I mean, and of course there's the fact that it's been, at least historically, the job of the attorney to basically paint the mental picture so that you do that recreation yourself. Now it's kind of taking the hard work away from both of those sides. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So I guess we'll see as it goes through. Yep. Certainly interesting. And then, sorry, gosh, my, I am, if you haven't picked it up yet, I'm coming off of a little bit of an illness. That's so I did have a bit of a head cold over these past couple days, so I am recovering. So please excuse me if I cough into your ear.
Well, thanks for coming in the studio with that.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to spread the love. But in our last story here for the news stump, mean tweets are back, folks.
Trump announcing that he is appointing Kevin Marino Cabrera as his ambassador to the Republic of Panama. And this is important because he is doubling down on retaking the Panama Canal. Trump writing, "Merry Christmas to all, including the soldiers, the wonderful soldiers of China who are lovingly but illegally operating the Panama Canal." He also slammed Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau again while suggesting that ice hockey champion Wayne Gretzky run for Prime Minister. He says that he can cut taxes for Canadians if Canada indeed becomes the 51st state.
So he basically took to his Truth social media account to troll all of North America all at once, and it was kind of lovely.
To be honest, I thought in the very beginning, way back in the day, it was a bit obnoxious, but you never know what you're going to miss until you have it back finally. And I'm so glad to see this side of Trump is back. He just does not care. He's unfiltered. Him and Homan both. They're just like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah. I kind of love it. I am really interested though in the Canada thing is absolutely a troll. Obviously, he's like
nobody wants Canada.
Nobody wants Canada to be the 51st state. In fact, Canada has multiple 10 provinces, so we would actually have to incorporate them as 10 separate states. It's a nice even number. It wouldn't change the star pattern. But I digress. The Panama Canal issue is a whole other deal, because obviously that's a major trade thoroughfare in North America, and for some reason, Jimmy Carter gave it away via treaty, essentially, to be operated by Panama, and Panama is being overrun with Chinese influence, right? So, the suggestion by President Trump to basically, tear that up is like, all right, we're going to renegotiate this deal. It's like, oh boy, that has some major implications, and I'm interested to see where it goes.
Yeah, that's one that definitely makes sense to me as well. Just given the historical legacy of the manpower, the investment that we put into that, just for it to go away and be used now for the benefit of our adversaries is just, It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm all for Trump renegotiating these bad deals that we've gotten into. That's kind of been his MO. So we'll see how it goes here. So now when we get back here from the break here, men are not women, and apparently someone needs to tell the writers at the Associated Press because they seem to have forgotten. So we'll talk about that right when we get back here on Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show, 1019-941 News Talk SEL.
Using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Mike Ferguson in the Morning.
Hi, Sean Long with STL Fence Works. Our company realized another extraordinary year of great business. I thank God for engineering our success and for this great nation and all the blessings it offers those who persevere and work hard. Second, I want to personally thank the great customers who put their faith in our company to make their home and backyard dreams a vision fulfilled. STL Fence Works doesn't exist without you, and I'm humbled and grateful for your patronage. I also want to thank all my great employees. You're the backbone of STL Fence Works. You make my vision a reality. I'm truly honored to work amongst such fine people. Finally, as the year ends, I want to remind everyone to take time to enjoy the season. Embrace your family and friends. Count the blessings in your life. Reflect on the important things. And don't forget the true meaning of Christmas. When a baby was born, Jesus, our Savior. On behalf of everyone at STL Fence Works, have a very Merry Christmas and a blessed and prosperous New Year.
Katie here. When it comes to your home's comfort, you don't need gimmicks, you need guarantees. At Elite Comfort Experts, we're your hometown comfort heroes. No flashy deals, just reliable service you can count on every time. From tune-ups to total system replacements, we're here to keep your family comfortable year-round. No nonsense, just expert care because your home deserves the best. Call Elite Comfort Experts today, where hometown service meets real results. Elite Comfort Experts, St. Charles' trusted hometown comfort heroes. Call Elite at 636-887-0971.
Hello, fans of the paranormal. I'm Frankie, host of the newest show on News Talk STL on a Garage. And we'll be discussing everything paranormal, from ghosts, demons, hauntings, and aliens to skinwalker, Bigfoot, fairies, and the Chupacabra. Every Saturday night between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., me and Jeremy will discuss mysterious events in St. Louis and surrounding areas, including gateway families and unsolved true crimes. That's right. It's all right here exclusively on News Talk STL from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. every Saturday night.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the Morning.
Good morning again. I'm still here, just gosh, roughing it with my voice. I hear my voice on my headphones and it's 10 times worse than how it sounds in real life. So I apologize continuously to all those listening here. But this is Gabe Pfeiffer sitting in for Mike Ferguson. This is Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. We got Jerome in for Stell. First of all, we kind of jumped right into the news dump, but I wanted to because I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody. How was your holiday? How was your holiday, Jerome?
So I was not able to make it back to Chicago to go visit my family, but I did give them a call, and very luckily, my grandfather's improved significantly.
Good, that's good.
Yeah, before Thanksgiving, he broke his hip, and then he caught COVID, and he's 86 years old. So of course, we're all worried. But
oh gosh,
he sounds so much better. He's almost out of physical rehab. So, but I have a Jewish friend, and Hanukkah and Christmas this year actually aligned on the same day. So I got to experience the first day of Hanukkah with my Jewish friends. How about you?
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So we're actually going to talk a little bit about Hanukkah and Christmas kind of crossing each other. And we're gonna look at what happened downtown as well as what happened in the Middle East over that period. But for me, this was a weird holiday for me. It snuck up on us. I was sick, and my house is a disaster area because of the basement renovation that all the listeners of the morning show are very well aware of and are probably tired of hearing me talk about it. But
You get rid of all the asbestos, huh?
Yeah, I finally removed all the asbestos. The radiation has been purged from the lower area below my house. I found a few dinosaurs, but ultimately, what I managed to do, and I kind of tried to make this essentially a Christmas gift for my wife, was I got it so at least nice enough so that we set up a couch and we had a fire in the new fireplace. So it was very sweet. Yes, exactly. So we worked together actually through Christmas morning in order to lay down enough flooring so that we could set up the couch in order to do this. So it was kind of a labor of love between the two of us, and we finally managed to get there, and it was nice. It was, I enjoyed that time. And I also like the fact that I didn't have to cook this year. I'm usually the cook.
Oh wow!
For the holidays, because I smoke a turkey. I usually smoke a turkey. I got my mom's mac and cheese recipe and a sweet potato casserole, and I throw all that stuff together. Janet would contribute a few dishes as well, and we'd have like kind of a mini feast with her and myself, and my daughter would be home, and the other, and sometimes we'd have some of the younger folks from the church who are either kind of orphaned out here or they weren't able to get home, things like that, and we'd have a little bit of a feast, but that was not happening this year.
I'm coming over next year.
Next year you're coming over. Okay. Yeah, you heard the menu, right? You're all about it. But here's the thing. So this is the day after Christmas. According to my wife, who is from Canada, this is Boxing Day. Now Boxing Day is a thing in all of the Commonwealth nations, the former British colonies who actually kept a good relationship with mom, as opposed to the U.S. who rebelled and we dyed our hair and we went off on our own. All the Commonwealth nations call this Boxing Day, and it has this kind of own traditions that they've kind of built up over time. And she said, it's funny. She was saying that she was asking for the day off from her boss, for Boxing Day. She's like, yeah, it's like, I'm going shopping on Boxing Day. It's the way of my people. So here's my question for everybody. And I actually enjoy shopping on the day after Christmas. What are the best things to buy after the holidays? Now, after the holidays. So basically these are the major markdowns. Everybody's like, okay, we got to get rid of all this crap here because we got to make room for all of our regular stock. All the Christmas themed things have to go. So I first of all, I have my own things that I always do, and I also ask the internet. So we've got some other answers there. What comes to mind when you think of post-holiday shopping?
So that was actually my uncle's tradition when we were growing up. Is Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, we would go and we'd see a movie, and then he would take us to like Toys R Us or these other discount places.
Yeah,
and my mom told me whatever wrapping paper that they have,
yes,
because that's when it's cheapest. You always buy after the holidays because they're just trying to get rid of all the extra inventory. So I would say that's probably pretty high on the list.
Oh, absolutely. All of the Christmas trappings for me are definitely on the docket. My front lawn is littered with all kinds of Christmas decorations and things like that. I usually decorate my house to the hilt. You can see it from orbit, usually from lights everywhere. Exactly, rockets going off. But all of those things were purchased the day after Christmas. So it's like if I paid full price for a Christmas decoration, there was an emergency.
Oh wow! So you're that serious about it?
Yeah, that's so really. There's no way you should be paying full price for your Christmas lights, for your lawn decorations, for wrapping paper, for your Christmas cards. It's like, why would you pay full price for any of those things when they're marked down like 75 to 90% at Walmart, the day after?
And then I would also imagine sweaters or clothing that are supposed to be seasonal but don't look seasonal enough that you could still wear them. I think that would be probably a really good investment as well.
Absolutely. And I think the internet agrees with you. So I asked Reddit because Reddit is where you go for answers to things, except for politics, because they're a little lefty loony. But some of the things that they mentioned were basically those seasonal versions of everyday items that you could get. So you got kids cereal. There's the Christmas version of Captain Crunch or whatever. It's like, it's just Captain Crunch. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, we changed the shape of the crunchy ball thing so that they look like Christmas decorations. Whatever. It's Captain Crunch. You buy the discounted Captain Crunch. any paper goods, basically with snowflakes on them, are Christmas themed. And you mentioned clothing. It's almost the same thing. The winter sort of Wonderland sort of clothing. You could get away. I have a sweater that has multiple like snowflake pattern on it or something like that. That technically that was a Christmas sweater, but it's just a sweater in the wintertime.
Well, I got that idea actually of all days yesterday. I didn't know, we didn't coordinate. I didn't know you were going to bring this up, but so my grandfather got a shirt. It's a black sweatshirt, and it looks from a distance like it's got this really kind of, I don't want to say hipster in a bad way, but a very hip and trendy kind of design. But when you're looking closer, it's like little, candy canes, stuff like that. So it's like, you would never know if you're walking around and it's like autumn even next year or it's springtime. You would never know that was a Christmas item, and I'm sure they got that for a pretty good deal.
I have a tie with a pattern on it that kind of looks like deer, but if you look close, they're wiener dogs with antlers.
That's awesome.
And it was purchased for me as a Christmas present. Other things, gift sets that you don't think about. Gift sets. So a gift set in at Walmart of shampoo, cologne, lotion, or whatever from Axe or Old Spice or anything like that. It's like, okay, now I have discounted shampoo and cologne and you know what I mean? So gift sets, all kinds of gift sets too. One of the lady followers over here on Reddit said that she gets all the gift sets from Ulta. They got like an eyebrow set or something like I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming it's a thingy that the ladies like. But yeah, all of those things get marked down because they are technically holiday items. But it's basically things you would buy separately during the year. And then the last thing here. Actually, there's a couple. In a few weeks, Barnes and Noble will be marking down all their calendars.
Ooh.
Right, so they're gonna come down to about 75% or so, but it's like at worst you're gonna be off a month. They will have missed a month of the national parks of the America or something like that. You know what I mean? Or the kitty pictures.
Yeah, just hold on to it for a few years; it'll reset, right?
and then of course there's that. Now that's for the extreme. That's for the extreme. Thrifty people. Now in this last bit here was really interesting to me. It says, okay, anything that people may have upgraded for Christmas, watch for the older models on the used market.
Oh, that's a smart one.
Isn't that cool?
No pun intended.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I hadn't really thought of it that way, but it makes the most sense that people are getting their new laptops, they're getting their upgraded iPhones. You see all these videos on the internet of people opening their gifts. It's like, oh my gosh, you got me the new something. I got the new iPad, the next gen iPad. Oh my gosh, I need this for my art degree, whatever. Well, their old iPad's gonna hit eBay soon.
Yeah, that's a very valid point,
right? So it's like, oh, I don't need two iPads. I got a 5th generation and a 4th generation. 4th generation is going out the door. And I'm not big on getting a whole bunch of money from it because I got this new one as a gift, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same idea. So those the laptops, well, particularly tech, I think. This is very much a techie sort of category here.
Now, not to put you on the spot, but did you also do one for things that are just not worth buying after the holidays?
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
Like video games, for example, they might have some sort of bundle deal or something like that. But I can imagine, even if it's halfway between Christmas and New Year, somebody's still going to want to play with all their friends that got the game for the holidays. So I would imagine you'd want to avoid that if you're looking for a good deal, right?
Yeah, I think what probably happens with those that have a bit of longevity to them, that they're going to last, that their value is going to keep up. It's not a big deal finding the discount. But then there's also there are going to be a lot of deals on trash gifts. So you got to watch out for those. They're going to jump at you. They're going to say, hey, look, buy me. I'm 90% off. There's a reason there's still an entire display of that particular gift there. So also be on the lookout for that while you're trying to be thrifty. When we come back from the news break here, I promised this before, but look, we're going to talk about the AP getting gender mixed up in their reporting here. Right when we come back here this is Mike Ferguson in the morning, News Talk SEL 101.9 and 94.1.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. When you head out early, a few of us are seeing these very small showers, and there's also some dense fog developing for places to the west. I don't expect the fog to be a widespread problem, but just watch for it if you are going to be out and about early today. Temperatures this afternoon under cloud cover will top out near 52 degrees. Watch for more rain to move in tonight. That continues through Friday, as well as rain chances into the weekend. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Hey, Tim Jones here with a reminder. Winter is the perfect time to obtain an expert evaluation of all your trees, shrubs, your biggest assets for safety, health, or maybe even removal. Hanson's Tree Service, locally owned and operated, not only can consult with you on the exact services you need, but during the winter months, you might even save more money. Keep their emergency number handy in case you need it. Emergency removal anytime over the winter months. Hanson's Tree Service, 636-379-1830. Hanson'sTree.com. That's Hanson'sTree.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
On behalf of the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show, Chris, Joey, and I wish you and your families a very Merry Christmas. We'll be back in the saddle on Thursday.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Walk through Coptic doors and roam all over Coliseum floors. I stepped on stage at Live Aid. All the people gave and the poor got paid. And I was speaking.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I love this song.
Oh yeah, you gotta love Run DMC.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what's funny is I remember back when the whole Colin Kaepernick thing was a big deal, and he got that endorsement deal with Nike.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I remember that whole thing, and it was because I can't remember exactly how it phrased. It was basically lauding his bravery or something like that. Then there was a big Nike commercial about his bravery. And I was like, yeah, my response to that was my Adidas. So this is Gabe Pfeiffer sitting in for Mike Ferguson from the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. We got Jerome over there sitting in for Stel. Now this story kind of came across my desk. Oh, actually, before we get into that, I wanted to promote the streams. We are streaming on Rumble right now. We're streaming on YouTube, on Twitter. We've I don't know. We have like 4 or 5 different streams going at the same time, right? So while you're there, if you're watching, hello, first of all, hello, how you doing? Hit the like, hit the little thumbs up thingy, hit the share, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Hit all of the buttons. Although there's a whole like constellation of buttons just below the screen.
Hit them all.
Just hit all of them. Just all of them because it all counts as engagement.
Yeah.
Basically, we need to weaponize the algorithm in our favor.
And yeah, not a lot of people I think understand the algorithm, what that does.
Mhm.
But when you see all this content that you don't like, it's oftentimes because the people you don't like is engaging with it more. So the more engagement we get to put it right back in their face.
That's right. So what you don't want to do is you see something that takes you off, you hit the thumbs down and you comment on it, because that still counts as engagement.
And then it wants to show it to you because it knows you're going to engage with it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
engage with what you love, not with what you hate.
Absolutely. But while you're there, we can talk about stuff that we hate, like the AP, the Associated Press, not recognizing what women are relative to men, because this Imani Khalif, I don't know if that name rings a bell, but it's the male Algerian boxer
the Olympic
who clinched a gold medal at the Paris Olympics in women's boxing, has been ranked 3rd in the Associated Press's Female Athlete of the Year for 2024. So, so when it had a list, you get a list of female athletes, and you get to vote as an AP writer. And apparently, Amani Khalif, the dude from Algeria, got enough votes to clinch the 3rd position there for their list of Female Athlete of the Year.
Because there's absolutely no biological females competing in biological female leagues that are absolutely more deserving for their triumphs.
Oh,
right?
of course not. No, you can't say that. Clearly, Amani has broken some barriers. Just breaking glass ceilings with his giant fists.
Well, you know what that reminds me of? I don't know if you're a big South Park guy, but
Mhm.
there's an episode. It was like Strong Woman. She's competing, and then there's her ex-boyfriend Heather, who looks like Macho Man Randy Savage,
That's
and she's in like
right.
a sports bra. And she's like, "I identify as a woman now," and then it's just absolutely annihilating every category. It's like that's Woman of the Year now.
That's the Woman of the Year now. Yeah.
Wow.
See, men are so good at everything that we can also be the best women.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay. So no, serious question though. How long is it going to take to purge this sort of rotten gender ideology stuff from our institutions? Because it seems as though the tide is turning, right? So we took some ground. I think there was the people are calling it a red shift, at least politically, in that a lot more people across all demographics voted red instead of blue. So there's a suggestion, and there's a big suggestion that that came in large part because of this sort of craziness. Not just you got the drag queen story hours, you got the crazy pornographic books that they're trying to put in elementary schools, and then you have this whole pushing men into women's spaces, women's sports in particular, as a sort of a hot button area, and that the left is losing their momentum culturally in that space. But my question is, how long is it going to take to rip this thing out by the roots? Because there's still plenty of people who believe in this stuff who are still running institutions.
So I was watching a old interview with a KGB defector or a Russian defector back in like 1989. He came to the United States, and he said that if you were to stop all of at the time, the communist Marxist indoctrination right now, it would take 15 years before the generations are able to uncondition themselves. And so I was thinking about that because we have the internet now, so it should be a little easier. But I've talked to plenty of trans people, and if you bring up trans youth and say, "Hey, let's protect our kids," their response is, "Oh, it's a trans genocide." If you want to stop trans kids from, so now they have these echo chambers online that they can latch onto and just sort of basically resist being deconditioned and being de-indoctrinated.
Yeah. I think the internet definitely has made this worse. It has made the job of deprogramming people very difficult. Because, like you said, they can kind of retreat to their own enclaves and into their own echo chambers, and they can just talk about how horrible everybody else is. And this is worse for our institutions because right now they have a foot in the door, if not their whole person sitting in the chair of a lot of institutions. There are trans people who are the head of organizations. There are trans-friendly people who are presidents of universities. So it's going to take a long time, I think, before they stop doing that. And here's another thing I wanted to throw at you. And I kind of mentioned this a few shows ago, but I wanted to get your take on it. I have a theory that that kind of goes back to the human condition. Humans all want on some cellular level to reproduce.
Mhm.
We want little versions of ourselves to run around eventually. With a lot of the queer people, that's biologically impossible.
Yes.
So the only means to do so is ideologically.
So you reproduce through your conscious ideas and indoctrination rather than physical. Okay, that is very deep.
Right. So that there's that basically it has the same force of nature behind it. It's like, I have to let these kids know that you can be like me.
See, Yeah, no, I can definitely see that because otherwise they would not try to go after media. I mean, even kids shows nowadays.
Oh, yes.
They wouldn't be going after education. And it's that sort of, am I the odd one out? Am I wrong in this? No, if I can just get enough people to be like me, then, I can establish and prove my point and all that stuff. And
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really deep idea right there. I'm gonna have to look more into that.
Yeah. It's just something that's been ruminating in my brain for a little while. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's like, because there is a human need to procreate. It's like we want little people. Like that's what we want, and it's adorable. And I think there must be a similar drive among people who are of a certain proclivity, because you got the drag queens who they have these drag kids, right?
Mhm.
And they're so proud of them, and it's like, oh yes, go on. And the rest of us are disgusted by this. Like, what is happening right now? This is a clearly sexualized environment. We're talking about sexuality and things like that these kids have no idea, and you're just parading them around as though they're your kid who just won the spelling bee. You know what I mean? It's like it's the same response.
Well, and see the way that I've been looking at this, because if we really take a view back of the total percentages of people engage in this behavior, a lot of them are not trans or gay themselves. It's a
Right.
lot of white liberal allies, right?
Oh, yeah.
And because they want to pat themselves in the back for being so progressive and so anti whatever, they're probably mad at their dad or uncle from back in the day.
Yeah.
But if you
Daddy
also, it
issues.
also a lot overlaps with like antinatalism.
Yes,
So what's the best
that's
way
right.
to reduce population without, doing the bad guy stuff is you convince people to alter themselves so they can't procreate at a very young and influenceable age. So where do you think that plays a role in it as well, or is it a multiple?
I can see that particularly from the allies side of things, the antinatalist, because that I think is its own sort of response against nature. So it's kind of weird. You know what I mean? It's weird to me that people would say, "Oh, the worst thing you could do to the earth is have a baby." It's like, whoa! So you're consciously kicking against your biological drives as a human being. You know what I mean? It's like that's impressive. It's first of all, it's impressive that you have such strength of mind. But second, it's also self-destructive, because the best thing for humanity is to bring other good humans into the world and bring them up and set them loose to do things. How many potential finders of the cure to cancer have been killed by abortion, or simply not even been given a chance by people who said, oh, yes, my brain surgeon husband and I, Nobel laureate, we don't want to have children. It's like
You're the people that should be.
You're the people that should be having children if you find the rest of us so such as Neanderthals. But it's also very weird to me, and I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I guess that's the thing. I do this constant thinking about why our society is the way it is and why certain groups behave the way they behave. And I always kind of come to these very big heady conclusions. And I wonder, am I just sniffing my own farts here, or am I onto something? And it sounds, based on your response, it sounds like I might be onto something.
Yeah. So not to praise the Chinese, but the netizens, the people that are using these meme sites, they came up with a term, and I might be butchering the pronunciation, but it's basically Dai Zuo. And basically what that literally translates to is white left. And they use it as an insult
I've heard this.
Basically the people that are so smug and narcissistic and arrogant, and yet they support things that are actively destructive and not of benefit to themselves, and they harm everybody around them. And I think that is a brilliant term, and I think that's very accurate. It's people that they are not getting their ways with society. They weren't for the longest time, and they think they just know so much more than everybody around them.
Oh yes, they're the smartest people in the room.
And it's like, who's the bigger fool, the fool or the fool that follows the fool?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
I really hope that this comes to an end. It probably, unfortunately, will not be completely gone by the end of Trump's term, but it seems like everybody that's in power, everybody that voted for them, majority of the country, we're done with it.
Oh yes, absolutely. I think the rest of us have finally kind of had enough. We've said, you know what? Not only am I mad enough to vote red, I'm mad enough to vote red for the orange man. It's like, because you've been calling us Nazis for so long. You know what? Orange man, sick them. That's kind of where we are right now, and I'm kind of loving it.
I'm right there with you.
Let's see what have we got coming up here at the. We got another morning news dump for you. coming after this information segment here, and then at 7:05, we're gonna talk a couple of interesting topics here with the Kay Granger story, which is still fascinating to me, and a study talking about being a potty mouth. A study about potty mouthism. I want to talk about that right when we come back from this information segment. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning show. Gabe Pfeiffer hosting in for Mike. This is on News Talk SEL 101.9 and 94.1.
News, analysis, opinion.
It almost seems common sense, but, alas, common sense isn't so common these days.
News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Mike Ferguson in the morning. Gabe Pfeiffer. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
It's a good song.
It's a shame what happened to the band, though.
Yeah, well, all good things must come to an end. The ban is fast approaching, but has TikTok managed to buy itself some more time? President Biden, possibly one of the most corrupt in our history, actually did something recently that I agree with. And President-elect Donald Trump trolls basically all of North America just in time for Christmas. Let's dump some news on you.
Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They get all the news.
The morning news dump.
Now, how long before you hear the weeping and gnashing of teeth among Zoomers about the loss of their favorite misinformation app? Well, the jury is still out.
Ooh. Isn't it set up to be...
Nope. Yep, I got sound here. Sorry.
Earlier this year, Congress, with bipartisan support, voted to ban TikTok starting in less than a month, January 19th, unless it's sold off. Critics say there are national security concerns that the app gives the Chinese government too much influence in the U.S. Now the Supreme Court says it will hear TikTok's appeal on January 10th.
just days before the ban goes into effect, and this could be a First Amendment issue. At a news conference, Trump addressed questions about TikTok, and he recently met with the app's CEO, Xiao Chu, at Mar-a-Lago. But even after taking office, the president can only do so much, and many in Congress remain concerned.
Yeah, so the whole TikTok thing is an interesting one to me, just because first of all, I don't like TikTok. I don't have it. I actually couldn't get it because of my job. It requires a security clearance, and you're not supposed to have that app on any devices. If that tells you anything, but at the same time, I'm very much a free speech and free market absolutist. So it kind of like I'm of two minds about the whole thing.
Yeah. So when it comes to TikTok, exclusively when it comes to TikTok, it has been proven to be a tool for the CCP to spy on us. There have been multiple data leaks and data hacks, and then they also intentionally will manipulate these harmful trends that are aimed at disobedience and stuff like that. It's actually banned in China, despite being owned by people that are obedient to the CCP.
Yeah, it is kind of wild how easily people can be manipulated through that app. That's the aspect of it that scares me in particular, is how easily it warps the minds of these kids. I remember that one trend of kids reading the Osama bin Laden's letter to America and actually identifies, like, you know what, he's got a point. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Excuse me, if there's anything that says that this may be a national security issue, that could be it.
And then to St. Louis, the Kia Boys originated on TikTok.
Oh yeah, that's right. Now, a lot of us chowed down on some turkey yesterday, knowing that it was at one time in the running to be our national bird before losing out to the bald eagle, or at least that's what we have all been led to believe.
You may not have realized it. After all, the majestic bald eagle has appeared on the Great Seal of the United States since 1782. That same year, Congress designated the bald eagle as the national emblem, and the famous design appeared in a host of places, ranging from documents, military insignia, and U.S. currency. But the bald eagle was not the official national bird until this week, when President Biden signed a bill into law that corrected the oversight. Tom Rigotti, Fox News.
So Biden actually executed justice and for justice for the bald eagle, who's been denied the official legal status as our national bird.
That is so weird. I always thought it was our national bird. I guess we can finally say Biden did something right with his administration.
Finally, we got something, guys. Good job. You remember the meme with Kamala on the call with Biden? We did it, Joe. Yes, we finally did it, Joe. We finally actually got something out of this deal. So so now that Biden has done something good, he can go off into the beach of Delaware and dry up like a prune. And in our last story here, the mean tweets are back.
Trump announcing that he is appointing Kevin Marino Cabrera as his ambassador to the Republic of Panama. And this is important because he is doubling down on retaking the Panama Canal. Trump writing, "Merry Christmas to all, including the soldiers, the wonderful soldiers of China who are lovingly but illegally operating the Panama Canal." He also slammed Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau again while suggesting that ice hockey champion Wayne Gretzky run for prime minister. He says that he can cut taxes for Canadians if Canada indeed becomes the 51st state.
Yeah, pretty bad. What bad deal that we got there with Panama. It's among the many failures that Jimmy Carter, brought to us, along with the creation of the Department of Education.
Yeah, just think about that for a moment. The guy who gave away the Panama Canal was also trying to convince us to vote for Kamala Harris.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah, it's kind of crazy how often we endured such horrible decisions by these Democrat presidents, and they haven't really gotten their due in terms of us blaming them for a lot of the problems that we've had, over the years. You know what I mean? So the creation, like I said, the creation of the Department of Education, the giving away the Panama Canal, the historic weakness on the global stage under the Carter administration led to a lot of problems, and everybody just kind of like, oh, look at that, good old boy peanut farmer from flyover countries. Like he was a decent guy, and we all give him a little pat on the head because he's still alive, essentially, as one of our former presidents. But he kind of messed us up for a while there.
Yeah, no, watching the people take photos with him in that condition too. I mean, I was calling Biden's administration elder abuse, but it was just like I felt bad looking at what was going on. And we can go back even further. I mean, Woodrow Wilson.
Oh,
he was
gosh.
a Democrat.
Hate that man.
He
hate him so much.
Established the Federal Reserve
Mhm.
and signed segregation into law.
Yes.
It was not actually, people just think like, oh, well, now that slavery is over, now let's go to segregate. No, he was the one that signed it into actual mandatory law. And that
Yes.
was probably one of the most destructive things that's ever happened to our culture. So
Mhm.
yeah, and what they say, well, he was a Southern, well, there's a party shit. It's like, no, you keep voting. It doesn't matter if it was then or now. Democrats just don't seem to know how to run a country.
Democrats are going to Democrat. That's kind of every single time. All right, so we're running to the top of the hour here. I've got a couple minutes, but I don't really have anything to say.
Oh.
no, I'm kidding. No, but one of the things that that I am appreciative of Donald Trump is that his willingness to poke fun at not just our allies and our enemies, but just sort of the institutions themselves. You know, he takes a lighter touch with the way we discuss politics, and he makes it entertaining. It's kind of a weird thing where we used to be super serious about all of these things, and I think we kind of lit our hair on fire about many of these issues. And it wasn't until recently where things have gotten worse, you know, in terms of the vision between the parties and the ideological split across America. But he still managed to make it such that it's kind of still a sport. It's tough to describe exactly my feelings about what Donald Trump kind of brings to the political conversation, but I'm definitely appreciative of his brand of showmanship. I'll say from the bully pulpit.
I think it's the boldness, to be honest. Like if we go back to when he was debating Hillary and she was calling out the tax breaks and the tax this and the tax that, and he said, "Yeah, I do that because I'm smart, but all of your donors and all your friends do that as well, and that's why you're not going to close that loophole." Is specifically because you would not be able to use it. I think that he just draws attention. He's not necessarily doing anything bad.
Oh yeah,
but he's doing it openly to show you this is what the state of our government's like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was pretty good there. We're coming up on the hard break here, but stay tuned. We'll be back with Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL 1019 and 94.1.
Larry Connors here. I'm heading to southern Italy on a tour of the most beautiful coastline in the world, the Amalfi Coast. 11 magical days in luxury with professionals from Conservative Tours. The cost, $54.88. That includes airfare from St. Louis. Call 888-733-9494 or go to conservativetours.com. Let's go to Italy this spring. conservativetours.com.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Congratulations to the awesome team at Connor Roofing for earning the 2024 National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction. Connor Roofing has now won back-to-back honors because they do outstanding work in all types of roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. We chose Connor Roofing without telling the owners, Rob and Kathy Connor. Their customer reviews are some of the best in the country. Please read them. Visit ConnorRoofing.com and request an estimate. Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor.
Looking for a top-quality tactical gear and expert advice? Look no further than Discount Tactical, your one-stop shop for all things firearms and self-defense. Located in the heart of Warrenton, we've been serving the community for 3 years with our friendly, professional, and knowledgeable staff. From custom AR builds and silencers to the largest selection of parts, we've got you covered. Self-defense weapons, SBRs, knives, ammo, custom holsters, weapon lights, optics, and body armor. Discount Tactical, online at discounttacticalarmory.com or stop by today and gear up with confidence.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
KLGY HD3 Clay, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason.
Ukraine's energy infrastructure is reeling following the latest Russian missile and drone attack. The Christmas Day assault plunged more Ukrainians into the cold and dark. President Biden describes the Russian attack as horrendous. Ukrainian President Zelensky calls it inhumane. Russia's top security agency, the FSB, has arrested several suspects. They're accused of involvement in an alleged Ukrainian plot to assassinate senior Russian military officers. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warning Iran-backed Houthi rebels of dire consequences if they don't stop firing missiles at Israel. First, a woman was burned to death in a subway car, and now 2 people are attacked by a knife-wielding man in the city's biggest train station. Violence spiraling out of control in New York City.
The NYPD says a man is under arrest for slashing 2 people on Christmas Eve at Grand Central Station in Manhattan, charged with assault. A 26-year-old female was slashed in the neck, a 42-year-old male in the wrist, both in stable condition, according to police, who say it started in the stairs leading to the train. Meanwhile, Sebastian Zepeda, the man charged with lighting a woman on fire on Sunday on the subway, remains behind bars following his Tuesday arraignment for murder, where prosecutors said he not only lit her on fire, he fanned the flames with a shirt, and it was all caught on video. Julie Walker, New York. 6 pedestrians injured on Christmas Day outside Macy's flagship Manhattan store. Taxicab jumped the curb and ran into them. The NYPD says the driver may have suffered some kind of medical emergency. 3 of the 6, a 9-year-old among them, taken to the hospital. The 3 others declined medical care. Wall Street back to work this morning following the Christmas break. The Dow futures down 148. NASDAQ futures 84 points in the red. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Right now, with an important alert, home title fraud is one of the fastest growing white-collar crimes in the country. Criminals can make millions on your house without you even knowing it. Michael, you were one of those criminals?
Yeah, that's right. I was responsible for about $16 million in equity theft and title fraud.
Wow.
And to be honest, it was easy to do. It's just paperwork. So by the time you find out what's happening, the equity in your home is already gone.
So how do you keep your property and equity safe? For more, here's Action News reporter Ron Stevens.
Well, Monica, an in-depth investigation found there's actually just one company that prevents this type of crime from happening: Equity Protect. Equity Protect scans, monitors, alerts, and most importantly, protects you from any attempts to tamper with or steal your home equity and ownership 24 hours a day. Other companies merely monitor. Equity Protect stops the crime from happening. Find out if you're already a victim or take a free risk assessment today at equityprotect.com. That's equityprotect.com.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. When you head out early, a few of us are seeing these very small showers, and there's also some dense fog developing for places to the west. I don't expect the fog to be a widespread problem, but just watch for it if you are going to be out and about early today. Temperatures this afternoon under cloud cover will top out near 52 degrees. Watch for more rain to move in tonight. That continues through Friday, as well as rain chances into the weekend. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Jewels on Hampton, paying some of the highest prices for your gold, silver, diamonds, and more. Call 314-752-5000 or visit jewelsonhampton.com.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Tony Colombo here for the cleaning pros at Zero Res, the team we trust with keeping our home clean and healthy. And the folks at Zero Res know how important it is to you to have a clean, healthy home this holiday season. And that's why they have this great offer for you right now. Book a cleaning with Zero Res and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $75 off an air duct cleaning. Again, just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple thought there here yet.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin Rob.
I am very proud of myself and all of my other friends inside my class. And my class is really sweet, except one little boy. And I need to tell
Sometimes you don't give the microphone to certain people. It's something you learn. I'm a preacher's kid, and I was always involved in basically the production of Sunday morning services. And there are some people you don't let have the mic.
Oh, no doubt.
And definitely, if you're giving a mic to a child, they're gonna go off script. So that was a little bit of fun there with that. Just wanted to promote News Talk SEL weekend programming. We got the Randy Dobler show,
Absolutely,
on which Jerome is the regular producer. So that's what time is that? 6.
The same time as your show.
That's right, 6 to 9.
Which is why it's a shame you never joined us. We get Mike sometimes.
I know.
So you.
Yeah, I know. It's tough for me. I do occasionally call in the later afternoon. It's basically the one time I get to sleep in like ever. So I do have some trouble in the mornings. But oddly enough, Jeff Allen decided to give me a mic today, so putting me here, I'm sitting in Mike Ferguson's chair on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. This is Gabe Pfeiffer sitting in for him, and as you heard already, Jerome is sitting in for Stell. Now I got a couple stories here I wanted to talk about. The Kay Granger story is one that has fascinated me because basically, and nobody told us this until recently, she was MIA essentially.
Oh yeah.
Kay Granger is a representative from the state of Texas. She was actually the first Republican woman to represent a Texas district in the U.S. House of Representatives. So good on you for that. She was elected in 1996, and before that, she was the mayor of Fort Worth. But for a while now, she was basically missing. She has not cast a vote in Washington since July, and her absence had generated concern in her district, but we hadn't heard anything about what was going on. So it turns out she was found when a reporter at the Dallas Express got a tip that she had been staying at a memory care facility after being found wandering through her neighborhood while seemingly lost and confused.
Oh no.
Yeah. So she's in the home now. She's an 81-year-old woman. And yeah, she's not all there anymore. And she's a representative of a pretty sizable and I think important district in Texas.
Yeah, and then I guess that goes into the argument then of term limits, because some people argue if somebody is just that good at what they do, then you should not force them to retire. But at the same time, it really seems like the age of our Congress and our representatives is just so much higher than the average person out there working today.
Oh yeah, I mean, now that isn't to say though that we should have a whole bunch of young 40-somethings running everything either. I think there is some value to to age. I think there's some value to having been on the planet for a certain period of time. Back in the day, in our tribal days, the elders were held in high regard, because the thing is, if you managed to get to old age, you had some secret sauce. You know what I mean? It's like, just like there was something going on there. It's like,
there's a reason why you survived that long.
Exactly. It's like back in the day when survival was a big deal, and you managed to get to the point where you are old enough that other people need to take care of you. It's like you've been running on all cylinders for a good long while. You were taking care of the village, so now you get to tell us what to do. So on some level, it made sense to give elders a bit more of a say in your society. And of course, there's often wisdom that comes with age, because a lot of wisdom comes simply by firsthand experience. You go through it, you realize I shouldn't have done that. And you come out on the other side with some lessons learned. So there's value to that. However, we're talking about a freaking geriatric home for people with absolute, mental deficiencies right now. You got a president who basically doesn't know what's going on. So the government is currently being run by a shadow government of unelected bureaucrats that we have never seen and probably will never know the names of. And then there are representatives, who are supposed to be closer to the people who are MIA simply because they're wandering the streets confused and lost. Because they don't know where they live anymore.
Yeah, it really starting to feel like our government is just the world's most expensive nursing home at this point.
Seriously, absolutely. And one of the solutions that, like you proposed, were the idea of term limits.
Mm-hmm.
Now, term limits have definitely shown themselves to be a bit of a double-edged sword. If not for term limits, we would have had quite a few more years of Tim Jones as speaker in Missouri, and leadership has been the death knell of the conservatism and the Republican Party in Missouri for a while now, because we've had such milquetoast leaders who followed after him. If we had been able to keep him there, because he wouldn't have been term limited out, things may have been different. But then again, we managed to get rid of a guy, because of term limits. Caleb Rowden would still be in his position if not for term limits. So there's, like I said, a bit of a double-edged sword there. You not only you have to kind of get rid of the good and the bad when that blade comes through. Conceivably, and this was kind of the founding fathers' idea, was we, the people, the voters, are the ones who get to decide when your time is done. But we don't do that. We don't take that very seriously. So I guess then the question is, well, are we just getting the representation that we deserve because we're not paying attention, or is there a deeper problem that we need to address?
Yeah, there's an excellent quote. I saw on a meme, of course. That's how people communicate political ideas, through memes these days.
Yeah, that's the best way.
But you deserve what you tolerate. And in some regards, it sucks because a lot of us don't want to tolerate this, but we're forced to because of the general apathy, or sometimes even just the ability for people to engage in complex ideas. So, maybe we have a retirement age. Maybe that should be the cutoff. One of our actual stream viewers mentioned, should it be a term limit or a cognitive test? Now, what would be the efficacy of forcing people?
Test.
Yeah, because I think that's a good idea. But then you run into the whole, these people have rights as well, and you can't force everybody just to have a cognitive test to be able to vote or participate in government if people want to vote for them.
Oh, it's a good exercise, I should say. It's a mental exercise to say, okay, well, is that the way to go? Should we have a test to say whether or not you meet a certain level of intelligence? And then, of course, who decides what that level of intelligence is? Who decides what the test looks like?
Yeah.
All of those become kind of the secondary questions that really answer the first question. Because on a certain level, I could say, all right, everybody with an IQ under this, it's like, wait a minute, Gabe. That's your IQ.
Yeah, explain propulsion to me. Yeah.
Exactly. If you can't plan a proper Hohmann transfer from high orbit to low orbit, then you can't vote. Exactly. So there's something to be said for the universality, I think, of our voting system, in that it doesn't presuppose your political virtue based on your intelligence, but at the same time, there are plenty of issues, I think, with that whole deal. I don't know how to solve it. I mean, focusing both the cognitive test and all those other things on the lawmakers themselves as opposed to the voters could be another way to sort of mitigate that issue. So, like, everybody still gets to vote, but hey, lawmaker, if you can't put one block on top of the other in alphabetical order, then maybe you shouldn't be voting for our laws. There's absolute merit to that. I mean, Joe Biden would not have passed a cognitive test, and he would have been forced out. But then again, Kamala Harris would have passed the cognitive test, and she'd be our president.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean. So it's like, okay, all right. It's like, do we want the shadow government or do we want the idiot government? I don't know. I don't know what their answer is. But that whole K Granger story, I think, puts an interesting point on the fact that we are dealing with a severe issue with our government. Not just the age, but the cognition, the accountability, or the lack thereof. And it's tough to make heads or tails of where we go from here. How do we dig ourselves out of this hole?
Yeah, even watching Mitch McConnell sometimes, like he was at a press conference and he was asked a question, and it looked like he had like the loading, symbol on his forehead because he just was like open mouth staring blankly. And I'm like, that is, I think, where once you are at that point,
it should just be automatic.
Then if you have an aide, somebody that can succeed you, you can still be there as a mentor, maybe. But at the end of the day, I just think that when you're having cognitive abilities that far gone, it's a danger to all of us.
Yeah, I wonder if there is some higher medical thing we could do, as opposed to like a sitting down and basically taking an IQ test, as opposed to, well, this portion of this person's brain has ceased functioning.
Maybe like a
CAT scan or something. I don't know. That medical stuff is one place where I really tap out. The human body is a much more complex device than a rocket. So
we'll have to get Dr. Tobler to chime in on that. Then.
There you go.
Saturday mornings.
That's one to ask Dr. Tobler Saturday morning. So we could do that. We actually didn't get to our second topic, so maybe I'll bring it up a little later here, where the study was done on mapping the potty mouths of American internet denizens. So maybe we'll talk about that, or we can go on to look at what was going on downtown with the lighting of a menorah in celebration of the start of Hanukkah. So we'll maybe touch on one, two, maybe both of those things once we get back from the information segment here on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show, News Talk STL 1019 94.1.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. Gabe Pfeiffer. We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
Danny Define here, host of the all-new show, The Next Gen, with me, Danny Define. We're going to cover all the hard-hitting topics on this show. National headlines and things happening right here in St. Louis.
Next Gen with Danny Define, Sunday nights at 8.
Right here on News Talk STL. Hello, Tim Jones here with Eric from Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Eric, your diamonds are so fantastic at Newsteaders. You named the website after them, wowdiamonds.com. Tell us about Wow Diamonds.
Well, we picked that name because when people look at the diamonds, they all exclaim the same thing. Everybody says, wow, and nobody can spell Newsteaders, so we figured Wow Diamonds would definitely be good tagline, and it's very accurate. We actually introduced the lab-grown diamond to our St. Louis family, and we're the exclusive home of the trademarked Wow Diamond. It's the most perfectly cut and polished diamond you'll ever experience, and we can fit one into anyone's budget. The thing that's nice about them is they're significantly less expensive than a mined diamond, and of course the artwork is in the cutting and polishing. That's where you get the beauty in the diamond, and that's what we excel at.
Newsteaders, a St. Louis jewelry tradition since 1961. Stop by and find out why. 2961 Daughtery Ferry Road, or on the internet, wowdiamonds.com for Newsteaders Fine Jewelers.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Speaking to former U.S. Senator Jim Talent, has the Trump transition team contacted you?
I've had a couple of people in the transition, not formally, just talk to me, and there's some pretty good advisory roles, which I did in the first Trump administration. I think they have a good list of younger people. I'm 10 years younger than Trump. I don't have his energy.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
With the average funeral bill over $9,000, are your loved ones prepared? Speak with Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Contact Benjamin at memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial, everlasting protection. This is Larry Connors, and my favorite sandwich at Capriati's is a Philly cheesesteak with peppers, sweet peppers, but sometimes hot peppers. I love Capriati's, and so will you.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
News, analysis.
I'm glad you're talking about this.
Opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it, too, because I know I am.
News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
You probably asked the question as a joke, but is something in the water making people stupid? So we're going to talk about that at 7:35. But in the meantime, here, this is Gabe Pfeiffer sitting in for Mike Ferguson, the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. We got Jerome in for Stell. Now, this is yesterday marked the first time, or one of, I think, 5 times it's happened since 1900 where the Christmas aligned with the start of Hanukkah. Mm-hmm. I think it's only happened like 5 times in the last 100 years or so.
Wow.
So on Wednesday at sundown, the greater St. Louis Jewish community gathered around the largest menorah west of the Mississippi to light the very first candle in downtown. It was the second year the organization put up the 29-foot tall Steinberg menorah on Keener Plaza. So now this stands in stark contrast to what was going on in the celebrations across the ocean in the Mideast, where things were getting a little tense there. Pardon me. So they had quite a bit of a difference going in to their celebrations.
Hours after Christmas Day started here in the Holy Land, air raid sirens were sounding across the country, sending millions of people to bomb shelters. It was the Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen launching yet another ballistic missile, the 4th one in a week. Israeli officials say the missile was shot down, but fragments of it landed in populated areas. With the regional war ongoing, this year's Christmas festivities have been subdued. Traditional parades and ceremonies were held in Bethlehem, including a midnight mass at the Church of the Nativity, though far fewer people were in attendance than normal. Inside Gaza, a small group of Christians marked Christmas Eve at the enclave's only Catholic church.
Yeah, so things aren't quite so merry over there. They had instead of a silent night, they had a violent night over in the Middle East because of the ongoing destruction going on there. Pardon me. What should be our role in dealing with the violence over there? I know there's been a lot of discussions on the right about our aversions that we need to have now to getting involved in forever wars. Certainly, I don't think anybody on the right wants to be involved in the same type of debacle that we had with Afghanistan and Iraq back in the day, and of course precipitating that disastrous withdrawal. But at the same time, I think there's a portion on the right who are looking to go almost full isolationist, and I'm not sure that that's the way to go. So where do you think we need to fall along that spectrum?
Yeah, so Danny and I have talked about that on the Next Gen Sunday nights.
Yes,
and
another weekend show.
Weekend show.
Great live local
Sundays.
Talk on News Talk STL, unlike any other station in, frankly, I think the country.
Oh yeah, we're the
that
best.
does live and local on weekends.
And it's Soros free.
Absolutely.
But so because we're the millennial age people, we're the younger guys coming up and trying to preserve conservatism as we see it. And I think our generation, because we're old enough to remember what happened with Iraq and with Afghanistan, and we understand the complexities of with like ISIS, how they were coming here and committing attacks on our soil. It's a very tragic thing. And I think the agreement is one big push to really just drive as much of it out as you can possibly drive out. I think Iran being toppled, and because most Iranians don't even want the regime that's in power.
Oh, no, not at all.
So I think that that would be in our best interest, but it has to have a timeline, because a lot of us, the reason why we voted for Trump is Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, JD Vance, and Trump himself all had this very anti-war. We're going to negotiate. He got the peace accord signed back in the day. So I think that we just don't want to see American lives being lost into conflict over there when we have so many issues over here that are going to need our tax money to fix. We pay our taxes, and then we have people getting killed on subways by illegals. We have starving children, homeless veterans. And so it's a hard issue, I think, for a lot of people to really comprehend. That's not just as simple as, go join the war and kick butt, because the ideology itself is you need to avenge the people killed on a jihad.
Right. Yeah.
So you kill the jihadists and then you create more jihadists. So
right.
It's
It's a sticky wicket, isn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit. I think there's kind of the conflict right now going on, I think, among the right between those who still want the sort of robust military presence that we had during the Cold War under a Reagan, perhaps, which managed to keep global stability on some level, while at the same time preventing us from getting bogged down in these debacles that we've seen that kind of came out of this, where we're funding multiple fronts. You know what I mean? The rebels that were armed by the CIA are fighting the rebels who were armed by the FBI. You know what I mean? It's like or something like that. You know what I mean?
Around the Hurricane Helene, we were arming and Israel and funding them and approving aid for them to destroy areas, and then we were giving money to those areas we destroyed to rebuild. And it's like, well, can we get some? We have people losing their lives here, I think that's maybe full isolationist is not the policy, but I think if we spend more time on our defense, and as Trump has showed us, sanctioning works pretty well. I mean, he had Iran's money, like their supply just depleted.
Oh, absolutely.
They couldn't even afford to do this. Whereas if you look at Obama, we were trying to fund these rebels in Syria to fight Assad, and some of them ended up going and joining ISIS. So
and let's not even talk about the pallets of cash basically that were dropped off under the Obama administration, and which was continued under the Biden administration, where they unfrozen bank accounts, like Swiss bank accounts or something like that flooded the Iranian jihadist types with millions and millions of dollars of available cash. So then all of a sudden you get an October 7th out of nowhere, and thousands and thousands of rockets flying over across the border into Israel constantly. So I think there's definitely a role for us to play in terms of leadership. I think in terms of just the vocal support. Certainly our position in the UN right now, maintaining that veto power over the stupid, resolutions they always kind of come up with to condemn Israel for defending itself. I think absolutely we want to maintain those sort of positions. But I would, especially with nations like Israel, I think we should definitely have support. We should grease the wheels for them to get weapons, but we shouldn't be giving them weapons. We shouldn't be, giving them cash. We should, like, if it's a matter of, okay, we're going to guarantee the loan for you to purchase these Tomahawk missiles or whatever. Yes, that's fine. I agree wholeheartedly with us being, good buddies, essentially militarily and economically with places like Israel and places like Ukraine, even, where things can get really sticky because Ukraine is a notoriously corrupt nation. Prior to the invasion by Russia, everybody recognized how freaking depraved essentially all of the government levels in Ukraine were, and how we need to kind of take a look at how the money that we're giving to them. But as soon as the war came out, everybody's like, okay, open the spigots, and we're not gonna check anything. And I think that's where a lot of people have been, given pause to their support of the war over there. But again, we need to be involved in that. Russian expansion is not a good thing for America, and certainly we need to keep a lid on those things. It sucks being the biggest dog, in the world, but it kind of is what it is. It's like, hey, America shouldn't be the world police. Well, you kind of are. If you're the big dude on the playground and there's a bully running around, everybody looks at you. Is it if you're the kid who talks about all the classes you take in MMA, it's like, oh yeah, my dad is this, and you're the strongest kid. It's like, I'm the strongest and fastest kid ever. It's like nobody ever is gonna mess with Sam, little Sam running on the playground. It's like, yeah, but if when the fight breaks out and Sam's not there to break it up, it's like, what are you even doing, Sam? What's the point of your strength?
Oh yeah,
So I think there's definitely value to us being the strong man in the world as a sort of calming force. Certainly, as Pax Americana is what it is. It kind of needs to be what it is. But certainly, there's a way to do it, and I think we've been going back and forth in how we've adjudicated that, and we need to settle down onto a nice even-keeled version of what we've done in the past.
Yeah, I think that we are, at least with this administration, we've pretty much tried to play the muscle element of NATO, right? So
Yeah.
I found out back all the way in 2022, Putin and Zelensky actually had to sit down for not just a ceasefire, an actual peace treaty, end the war that's been going on since, I think, 2014. It didn't just start with the invasion like a lot of people thought, but they were ready to sign it. They had everything figured out, and Boris Johnson came from the UK and went and talked to them and basically told Zelensky that you may be willing to negotiate with Putin, but we, which meant, the NATO at the time, are not, and we will not negotiate with him, and you should be pressuring him rather than trying to appease him and find peace. The day after that meeting, according to sources within Zelensky's cabinet, they said that after that, Zelensky was no longer willing to negotiate, and then he basically, and after that, every single peace treaty that they've had 5 total times where they're going to try to sit down and figure it out, and each time somebody gets involved and they just pressure them not to do it. So it's become something is are we being the military tough guys for these other, for Europe's conflicts? Is that really in our best interest at this point?
Yeah,
when those two nations, and I hate what's going on, I hate all war, period, but they may be able to come up with an agreement that's good for both of them that we may not like. Do we have to respect that?
Well, that's a good question. I think, though, if we are going to be the muscle, and I think Trump kind of has this philosophy that if we're paying for it, we have the biggest say in it, kind of thing. So look, he's promised that he's going to end the war. Basically, he's going to go over there and sit both guys down and say, "Okay, guys, we're gonna do this thing." I honestly think he can do it. Now, whether it will actually happen, who knows? But that's that. I think we've kind of talked that to death. So we're gonna have an information segment coming up here. So I think when we come back, though, I want to talk about while we were kind of talking about MAGA there, in the America First sort of MAGA thing, we need to talk about MAHA, right? Make America healthy again. I asked the question earlier, is there something in the water making people stupid? I think the answer is yes. And we're going to talk about a little bit about that, as well as the things that are making us fat here on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show, 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. When you head out early, a few of us are seeing these very small showers, and there's also some dense fog developing for places to the west. I don't expect the fog to be a widespread problem, but just watch for it if you are going to be out and about early today. Temperatures this afternoon under cloud cover will top out near 52 degrees. Watch for more rain to move in tonight. That continues through Friday, as well as rain chances into the weekend. And that's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
John Beal knows that new roofing companies can look big and trustworthy on the internet, but the fact is 96% of new roofing companies go out of business within the first 5 years. John Beal has a reputation for excellence, reliability, plus lowest cost, best roof, best guarantee. Those here today, gone tomorrow roofers, they can't match John Beal. For home or business, trust my friend John. 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Larry Connor's commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit vincentsjewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
This time of year can be full of cheer and joy, but for some it might be depressing. For those, I pray you find some joy. And I think it helps to surround yourself with family and friends. And yet some might prefer to be alone. The Washington Post has a story on 2 women, 1 man, how they were going to spend their time. The article reads, they love their families. They just want to spend the holidays alone, basically celebrating loneliness. To me, that sounds truly sad. And one said, I don't want the stress of making others happy. There should be no stress in just sharing a smile, a laugh. Another said she was taking a trip to New York by herself to be surrounded by strangers. The man said he would treat himself to a 4-course dinner, stay home, watch Christmas movies. Oh, by the way, the woman going to New York said she will also be on TikTok to celebrate with others who want to be alone. Makes sense? This year, Christmas and Hanukkah overlap. Whatever your religion, whatever your political belief, I pray that you truly are blessed over these holidays.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
There's a new report out that more homes are now available on the market for sale. You want your home to be on that list? You want it to sell quickly? You need to talk to Jen and Rodney Warner, the Warner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Here's their number, 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. Now, they have 15 times more homes per year that they sell than the typical realtor. And they have flexible commission plans to meet your needs. They also have so many approved home buyers, they can guarantee you an offer. This is the time to strike, as more homes are suddenly going to flood the market. Now, keep this in mind. If you don't like it, you decide you want to back out, no obligation, no long-term commitment. Jen and Rodney Warner will work with you. But it begins by you calling them, 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. Hey, get ready to copy a number that could change the future of your company, connecting you to PRI Global and the world of artificial intelligence. Take a free survey, 636-689-0545, 689-0545. PRI Global has its own AI lab and can create the best way to help your business. 636-689-0545, 689-0545.
No. No, no!
Is your computer giving you headaches? Make it happy again with Jeff Computers. For 30 years, this locally and family-owned business has been the St. Louis area's trusted one-stop shop for cybersecurity, managed IT, and data recovery services. Choose the experts at Jeff Computers. They offer computer protection plans and can recover your lost or damaged data. Visit them in Ellisville or call 636-256-7901. Online at jeffcomputers.com. And tell them Newstalk STL sent you.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the News Talk STL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Just the convenience on the phone.
Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the News Talk STL app.
And listen anytime.
Everywhere.
Anywhere. Mike Ferguson in the morning. Gabe Pfeiffer. We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
If you want to go back and listen to any of the previous segments that we had on this show or on many other shows that we've had that have been promoted online and whatnot, we've got a podcast. You can listen on demand to any segment, basically, of any show. If you go on to the News Talk STL website, you can find those. And also, you can subscribe to the podcast through any of the podcasting sites that are available out there. So I encourage you to do so. Now, I found this, and I'm not sure how much this has been discussed on the station. I've been I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I've been a little sick, so I've kind of been out of it for the last few days. So I don't know how much I have been listening. So I don't know how much people have talked about this, but it's official now. The fluoride in our water is not so great for us. So researchers found drinking water with more than 1.5 milligrams of fluoride per liter was associated with a drop in IQ of up to 5 points. So fluoride has been added to the U.S. water supply for decades after studies showed it could strengthen teeth and reduce cavities. So as estimates suggest that fluoridation saves about $6.5 billion in dental treatment costs and reduces the occurrence of cavities by up to 25%, according to CDC. But since 2015, the U.S. has recommended that the fluoride levels in drinking water not exceed 0.7 milligrams per liter. So it's about half. But the report also said that more than 1.9 million people in the U.S. rely on water systems with fluoride levels well above the 1.5 milligram mark. So add that to the list of bad things that we have in our food and water, including the seed oils, estrogen mimicking chemicals, the various biotoxins that we use to kill bugs that still remain on our food. All of these things, red dye number 15 or whatever the heck it is, microplastics, the other things, the forever chemicals. They're all kinds of things now that we're finding or have found that have entered our food system in the last few decades that are really, really bad for us. And in the grand scheme, it kind of makes sense given what we've seen happening to our population. Have you ever seen, and it'll sound far afield, but just follow me for a second. Have you ever read one of the letters from like a Civil War soldier writing home? You know what I mean? It's like we're talking about a country boy who went to a one-room schoolhouse, in a town of like 300 people, and just learned from the local school marm how to read and write and do arithmetic, right? And that letter is the most eloquent thing that you've ever. It's like
my dearest back home. Tell mother I love her.
Exactly. It's like, I mean, some of the turns of phrases, the uses of language, the script itself, even was today would be considered high level.
Yes.
And the fact that we've got so many kids with these developmental issues, these cognitive issues, behavioral issues, as well as chronic diseases that we've never seen before, suggests that something has been changing in the environment. It's not us. Humanity is not devolving in that way. At least I know we're certainly devolving morally in many ways, but at least from a biological standpoint, it's not as though we are getting less hardy to deal with nature. I think we've been changing the nature in which we live with all of the additives that we've been throwing in our food and our water.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you look at so many elements of our health that contribute not only to mental strength, but to your physical body that we neglect. So like the gut mind connection confirmed with real thing. People don't actually diversify their diet enough to properly engage with good bacteria.
Yep.
We're eating food that is horrible for us, that lacks nutrients. So we're undernourished. 85% of people are vitamin D deficient, like severely.
Oh yeah.
And that affects your mood. And then
your immune system.
Yeah. And then Roundup, they found that if you are a pregnant woman and you are exposed to Roundup, not like you got sprayed with it, but if you are in an area that's high in agriculture or these gated communities where they spray it on all the stuff to sterilize the lawn, and that stuff lasts longer than we think it does, and you're exposed to it, that leads to more birth defects, that increases rates of cancer, that increases all sorts of other issues with not only yourself but your baby. And we don't seem to care enough about taking accountability for our own health, and that's something I'm really excited for RFK Jr. coming into this. Is I making America healthy is just like making America great again. You can't just sit there and hope that these two guys or this cabinet of people are going to fix it, because it starts with us.
Oh, absolutely. Now, of course, it becomes super difficult to do that if all of the food contains the same things. You know what I mean? It's like yes, I'm going to be very cautious about things. I'm only going to eat fresh fruits and vegetables. Let's say that I made that commitment. Fresh fruits and vegetables only, grass-fed beef, free range chickens. Those are the only things I'm going to eat. It's going to be, first of all, it's going to be super expensive.
Yeah.
It's going to be super time consuming because, not if you want to turn fresh ingredients into a meal, that takes time, as opposed to, well, I got a box of this and I can boil it on the stove for 20 minutes. And then now there's a thing where I can throw this in the microwave and now I have food to eat, or I can hit this drive-through on my way home. We're very busy people these days. We keep ourselves busy anyway. And so if you decide to go a full all natural route, that's going to be time and money that you're going to have to commit to doing so. And then who's to say that you're actually escaping all of the forever chemicals? Because all those fresh fruits and vegetables were grown on a farm that used some of these heavy doses of chemicals to keep them bug free, or to increase yields, or to some of them have been bioengineered. I think a lot of people in the chat have kind of been talking about bioengineered food, and Estelle has mentioned bioengineered food. And look, I'm not someone who says, okay, we should go back to 1920s agriculture in order to regain our health. I don't think that's necessary. I don't think all bioengineering is bad either. I mean, because on some level, hybridization, just the quote unquote natural things that we've done to our plants and crops and things like that, crossbreeding of various strains and things like that, that is bioengineering. We're actually picking and choosing the traits in the next generation that we want. Now it's more efficient to do it in a lab to the seeds. So I don't think necessarily that's, kind of killing things, except when we kind of go overboard. It's just, there's a lot to it. And I'm just wondering how big of a push can we make in the next couple years to actually make America healthy again, given how deep the issue is and how many chemicals, how many processes, how deep this thing goes.
Yeah, I mean, the FDA and the EPA should have definitely been doing their jobs this entire time.
Oh, sure,
Unfortunately, they haven't. But the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, right?
Absolutely. Now, when we come back from this information segment, I got to talk about this Mega Millions thing. I got to talk about it because I'm a dreamer, and you have dreams too, and I want to hear about them. So when we come back, the next Mega Million drawing is this Friday. What are you doing with that kind of cash? Let me know in the comments on Rumble. Let me know via Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, all the things. Talk to me. Actually, you can call me too, 314-912-1019. This is Gabe Pfeiffer sitting in for Mike Ferguson, News Talk, SEL 1019 and 94.1.
Looking for an underwater adventure or a scaly new friend? Dive into Tropical World Pets on Watson Road. For 32 years, this family-owned wonderland has been St. Louis's go-to destination for all things aquatic and reptilian. With over 7,000 square feet of aquariums, we're home to the area's largest selection of freshwater fish, including rare cichlids you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. We've got tarantulas, snakes, and lizards galore. Tropical World Pets, 314-849-4020, or visit twpstl.com.
Craving real barbecue, St. Louis? Your search ends here. 4 incredible locations, Bogart's, Dale Smokehouse, and 2 Pappy Smokehouse spots, each serving up mouth-watering, slow-smoked perfection. Only the highest quality meats, prepared with love and care by our friendly staff. From ribs to brisket, our full menu has something for everyone. Dine in for lunch or dinner, or let us cater your next event. Bogart's, Dale Smokehouse, and Pappy Smokehouse. Where smoke meets delight, every bite is a highlight.
Epic STL is always on the lookout for highly motivated, goal-oriented, results-driven people to add to our growing, winning team of sales and content professionals. 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL is a locally owned and operated venture of Epic STL. Apply to be a part of our creative, fun, and rewarding work environment by simply going to the Connect tab on newstalkstl.com and click on Application. Epic STL and News Talk STL are equal opportunity employers.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
There was no grand prize winner for Tuesday night's Mega Millions drawing. The estimated top prize for Friday night's drawing is now at $1.15 billion, potentially the 5th largest jackpot in the game's history. 4 players in California, Missouri, Pennsylvania, and Wyoming all matched 5 wide balls for $1 million on Tuesday, but they missed that coveted gold ball to capture the top prize on Christmas Eve. More than 4 million ticket holders won prizes in Tuesday's drawing. The odds of winning the Mega Millions jackpot are 1 in 302 million. Paul Stevens, Fox News.
Man, that's a lot of money. $1.15 billion. Now, okay, so something needs to be said, though, about how these payouts works, just so you understand. If you take the cash lump sum option, first of all, that the prize then drops to $516 million.
Ouch.
Yeah, so the lump sum, because the 1.15 million, that's an annuity. So basically you'd have to take that over 30 years, and there's some calculations that go along with that. So if you took the lump sum, first of all, it gets knocked down to $516.1 million. Then you got to pay federal tax, state tax, and then that leaves you with 371 or so million dollars, which I mean, we're still talking about stupid money here, people. There's like a lot of people say, I don't like to play the lottery until the gets to be real money. Bro,
yeah, that's almost $1 million a day.
$10 million is real money to you. So don't pretend as though 370. Okay, now it's high enough, 371. But if you had $371 million, actually, let me say this too. If you did take the annuity, and you got the payout over 30 years, your first payment would be a little over $12 million, or wait a minute, yeah, a little over $12 million for the year, for that year. In the second year, it's closer to 13. In the third year, so it's going to go up until the 30th year when it's a little over 50, or actually almost $51 million. So annuities is something to think about. So let's say that's the money we're talking about, the $371 million lump sum, or well over $10 million a year for the next 30 years. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm taking it over the course of the years. One, because I'm not a very big spender or consumer,
right?
But I get these ideas where it's like, oh, if I only had this much money, I could do this. And knowing how I am, I would probably overspend and it'll all be gone. So having that little limit of, $10 million, $12 million a year, just take most of that, put it in a bank account. Then you always have that interest, invest some of it in the S&P. I think that the people that are so tempted to go with that lump sum don't really sometimes see the forest from the trees. But yeah. I'm also the kind of person that, the lottery was invented to catch time travelers. So I don't usually play it because I don't want to get caught up in that nonsense. But what about you?
I love that.
There's a financial professor actually from MIT that came up with the actual theory of if you could time travel and go back in time to win the lottery, here's how you can maximize your profits. But yeah, I'm convinced that's what it is. But what about you, Gabe?
That sounds like something somebody from the alma mater would come up with. Absolutely. That's the kind of talk we would have as we're riding the train into Boston. But me, I would I'd do like Lunch Lady suggested here in the Rumble chat. I'd buy an island and purchase Starlink. So basically, you just go off someplace. You'd set up. I've gone so far as to look up what it would take to buy one of these islands, and I'm talking like a big island, hundreds of acres and things like that. Yeah, because I want it to be big enough to be self-sufficient, essentially. Now, of course, you'd have to develop these things yourself. Some of these though are fully developed. Some of these you could buy basically a resort island in some of these tropical areas because it's fully developed. It's got 300 cabanas or something like that on the beach and everything like that, and a big and its own airstrip already built in. Some of these things, and it's just like tens of millions of dollars. It's like if you're talking about $371 million, it's a drop in the bucket to buy a fully decked out island resort essentially for yourself. You would live there and you could continue to draw income as people would come to visit you. And if you wanted to, you close it up. It's like, okay, now this is a town. Everybody who wants to come, you can come and purchase a house, and you will be under my jurisdiction forever. He's like, I will be. This is Gabe Island. I am King Gabe the First.
Be co-hosting via Starlink.
Co-hosting via Starlink. Yeah, it would be absolutely fun to do that. Now, of course, obviously, you got to pay off debts. Like, of course, I'm gonna buy my mom the coolest house ever. Decked out and all that stuff. I would definitely treat my sisters who stay with my mom to a life of absolute luxury because they've been in the trenches essentially doing the hard work. They helped take care of my dad, right up until his death there, and they've been taking care of mom. And they get some support from the rest of us, but I think they absolutely are deserving of extra. I take care of my family in general.
Absolutely.
Like my siblings. We know how. You guys know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Some of them are listening. But other than that, I think most people, I say this, if you didn't know, if I didn't tell you that I won the lottery, you probably wouldn't know that I won the lottery.
Oh, I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
I would buy a bunch of NFA items. So I'd have like all this huge arsenal. I'd have a bunker. I found out you can actually buy demilitarized tanks.
Oh, absolutely.
So
yes.
if you see a tank in that parking lot, there'll be signs. I won't tell nobody, but there'll be signs.
Now, I will say I might build like a full size Castle Grayskull someplace in the suburbs of St. Louis. So I mean, you might see me come to work driving a replica of Kit from Knight Rider. It's like they're yes, those things could happen, sure, but
showing up like an old English aristocrat with the face and the hair and all that.
Exactly.
Hey, you look a little different today.
Yeah, it's like so this is how I talk now. yes. No, but seriously, first of all, at that level of money, I would definitely take the annuity. 30 that takes me well into retirement. 30 years. I'm probably gonna kick off in 30 years. No, but certainly $10 million a year is certainly enough to live off of. Like, come on, man. Like, I could do anything. That's just fun money. I would find it a hassle to have to deal with a $371 million lump sum. Actually, I find that it's like, okay, now I got to put it somewhere. I got to make sure I'm diversified. I got to do this and I got to do that. Like the 10 million, I was like, and I know it's coming in every 3 years, and it increases every year up to 30 years. Like, yeah, I'm gonna put it in the bank, but I'm gonna feel like Brewster's Millions. If anyone remembers the story there, where he had the challenge of having to spend a certain amount of money in order to get like 10 times that amount, and he was having trouble doing so because he kept making more money.
Yeah.
it's kind of awesome. I'd love to have that problem, but yeah, it's good to dream. It's good to dream. But when we come back from the information segment, we're going to talk about what the government has been doing in terms of the opposite, spending the money that we've been sending into Washington. So stick around. We got more for you. Mike Ferguson in the morning. News Talk STL 101.9 and 94.1.
Hey, want to amaze your friends when they visit? They will be impressed when they see your custom-made drapes, blinds, or shutters. Michael Proctor will personally help you pick out the correct colors to truly showcase your home. Then he will actually design and personally install everything. No overhead markup. That's going to save you a lot of money on drapes, blinds, or shutters.
Call for an appointment at your home. Spell Proctor like doctor.
Your heating system isn't getting any younger, and waiting might cost you big. Katie here at Elite Comfort Experts. With new government mandates and 2025 manufacturer price hikes, delaying a replacement means paying more. But here's the good news. You can save now with tax credits, utility rebates, and easy financing. No gimmicks, just guarantees. Don't wait for your old furnace to quit for good. Call Elite Comfort Experts today and replace your system before prices go up. Call Elite at 636-887-0971.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every week yet on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
KLDY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Christmas Day brought no pause in the death and destruction in Ukraine as Russia stepped up its attacks on Ukraine's electric grid.
Ukrainian President Zelensky said over 70 missiles, including ballistic missiles and over 100 attack drones, were used to strike Ukraine's power sources. Zelensky calling the Christmas Day power attack inhumane.
Correspondent Julie Walker says President Biden describes the Russian attack, which killed at least one person, as horrendous. Backers of deposed Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad are putting up a fight.
The situation in the province of Tartus on the Mediterranean coast, a stronghold of Assad's Alawite community, has been fraught in recent days. On Wednesday, 14 fighters from the Islamist group HTS that now controls most of Syria were killed in the town of Khirbet al-Maza after the security forces tried to arrest a former officer of the Assad government. The officer was reportedly linked to a notorious prison. The military operation is being seen as the first big test for the country's Islamist leader, Ahmed al-Sharaa. He's threatened to crack down on anyone trying to undermine Syria's security.
The BBC's Lipika Pelham. The new year will bring a big change in the work habits of thousands of Americans.
After years of working from the comfort of home, workers are being told it's time to return to the office full-time for the first time since the coronavirus pandemic. That can bring a host of challenges, including losing time with family. Workers at Amazon, AT&T, and other companies have been called back to the office 5 days a week.
Correspondent Jeremy House. Number of Americans applying for unemployment held steady last week. 219,000 claims filed on Wall Street. The Dow futures down 178. NASDAQ futures off 79 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Just grin and bear it or bite the bullet when it comes to everyday pain? Don't. Try Relief Factor, a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. It's 100% drug-free. It's developed by doctors. In 3 weeks or less, you'll know whether it works for you like it works for me. Try Relief Factor for yourself. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but you need to vacate this home.
Why, officer? I own this home free and clear. I lived here for 40 years.
Well, unfortunately, this paperwork says otherwise.
But I have nowhere else to go.
I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am.
This story is becoming all too common in the U.S. Scammers are preying on people with high equity or who own their homes free and clear of a mortgage. Only one company completely protects you. That's Equity Protect. Get your free risk report by texting the word home to 94878. Again, text the word home to 94878 to get your free.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. When you head out early, a few of us are seeing these very small showers, and there's also some dense fog developing for places to the west. I don't expect the fog to be a widespread problem, but just watch for it if you are going to be out and about early today. Temperatures this afternoon under cloud cover will top out near 52 degrees. Watch for more rain to move in tonight. That continues through Friday, as well as rain chances into the weekend. And that's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Tim Jones here for my favorite St. Louis Sports Bar and Grill experience, the go-to spot of Johnny's Hideout. Johnny's Hideout featuring over 40 big screen TVs to watch all the great games this college and NFL season. Awesome food specials every single day that I absolutely love. Bike nights, classic cars on Wednesdays, live music every weekend, and a fantastic time to visit the gorgeous Sunset Patio. Located just 10 minutes from 270 and Gravois, open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. onwards. All the information you need to know at jhideout.com. That's jhideout.com. Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge.
Tony Colombo here for the Farmers Co-op Old Town Country Store in Old Town St. Peters, where they have a huge selection of products and services for your yard and home, including a full line of lawn and garden products, a full line of products for animal care, and that includes anything from livestock to the family dog or cat. They'll fill any size propane tank for about half the price of a new one, and so much more. Visit them in St. Peters on 2nd Street, right behind the QT at 70 and Mid-Rivers Mall Drive, and check out all their products and services at oldtowncountrystore.com.
Mike Ferguson.
This is the kind of adventure I usually have to force upon us, and here it is, falling into our laps.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
They're buying it.
Get up, St. Louis.
Watch a couple squats, son.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
Gabe Pfeiffer sitting in for Mike Ferguson on the Mike Ferguson in the morning show. Jerome on the Wheels of Steel sitting in for Stell. The ban is fast approaching, but as TikTok managed to buy itself some more time, a Florida courtroom jacks into the Matrix, and New York City subways are still not safe. Let's dump some news on you.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
How long before you hear the weeping and gnashing of teeth among Zoomers about the loss of their favorite misinformation app? Well, the jury is still out.
Earlier this year, Congress, with bipartisan support, voted to ban TikTok starting in less than a month, January 19th, unless it's sold off. Critics say there are national security concerns that the app gives the Chinese government too much influence in the U.S. Now the Supreme Court says it will hear TikTok's appeal on January 10th, just days before the ban goes into effect, and this could be a First Amendment issue. At a news conference, Trump addressed questions about TikTok, and he recently met with the app's CEO, Xiao Chu, at Mar-a-Lago. But even after taking office, the president can only do so much, and many in Congress remain concerned.
Now, I've been one of those who's been on the fence about this whole TikTok ban. Because it sort of straddles the line for me between national security and our fundamental freedoms of free enterprise, free association, and freedom of speech. So I'm not particularly keen on the idea of the government being able to tell a business it can or cannot exist, or how the structure of its ownership should be comprised. But at the same time, I know for a fact that TikTok is basically a Chinese psyop / spying system to undermine America and to make us weaker and to steal our technology and information on individuals who may be of import or interest to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And going along those lines as well, one of our stream commenters made a comparison between TikTok and companies like Facebook, Google, stuff like that, which in a vacuum, it would sound like a good comparison. But you have to remember, U.S. companies are beholden to our laws. You know, we can subpoena information if there's some sort of child exploitation thing going on, or if there's violent action, things that are illegal. We cannot hold TikTok accountable.
Yeah, because of its ownership. Because
they just, it's international. They do not have to comply. They don't honor, copyright laws, let alone any other subpoena for information. So, and especially think about who it's targeted toward. It's not targeted in the same way towards, fully developed people. A lot of the users, even though I think there is you have to verify your age, which everyone, and their grandmother just clicks accept.
Yeah.
But, when it's kids getting hurt, there was a Benadryl challenge where they were tricking kids into eating a lethal dose amount of Benadryl, and literally 100 kids that were the ages between 10 and 14 overdosed and died from Benadryl poisoning.
Yeah, there's been a number of those stupid challenges, from the stupid, I guess I say again, but to the deadly. And if you remember Tide Pods, remember the eating of the Tide Pods? We make jokes about it because we're raising a generation of kids dumb enough to think that chewing on a Tide Pod is not going to hurt them. But that hasn't been precipitated necessarily just by us. You know what I mean? It's been helped along by people who want to undermine our society in its entirety, and they're going after our kids, and they're using a very trendy and very brain stimulating app to do so. I think there's probably a way to have done the ban that I would have been feel better about than the way we did it. I'm wondering what the Supreme Court's going to have to say about this, because it does go, run right into the whole free enterprise, free speech issue, and I'm really curious to see what some of particularly our originalist constitutional scholars on the bench have to say about that.
Yeah, and just my final point on this, because I know a good argument is also it's not the government's responsibility to play nanny. I do think that there is a question of parenting. Why are the parents giving unsupervised access to these sorts of things? But I do definitely feel that any foreign nation that can use this to access our data and our information, that needs to stop, regardless of how you feel about how people are behaving or the rights of individuals. That needs to be addressed point blank.
Oh yeah, I mean, one of the major areas that the government does have jurisdiction where we do task them with things is to keep us safe from foreign foreign influences, foreign powers. So there's definitely that track to be made. Back in 1992, attorney Ken Padowitz, as a homicide prosecutor at the time, was the first to introduce a computer animated scene into evidence. Well, now acting as defense attorney, it seems Padowitz has made another technological first in the courtroom.
Judge, the prosecution and the defense spent most of their time in a stand your ground hearing wearing virtual reality headsets. Now, the defense attorney believes this to be the first time VR has been admitted as evidence in a criminal case across the United States. The defense hired a forensic animator to design an immersive experience that highlights the moments before and after a South Florida wedding venue owner pulled out a gun during a reception. Miguel Albizu's attorney said he was allegedly cornered against a bar and drew the weapon to protect himself, his family, and staff. He now faces 9 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
Yeah, so I'm impressed by this technology, and I find it extremely fascinating. The idea that instead of the defense attorney kind of trying to paint the pictures like, okay, imagine yourself in the bar, and you're trapped between the bar and the wall, and people are throwing things at you, and there's glass flying everywhere, and the only thing that you have to protect yourself is your fire. Like, instead of the you know what I'm saying? You've seen these scenes. You've watched enough Matlock to understand what I'm talking about. So instead of the defense attorney though having to paint this scene mentally, through use of creative word choice, now you can get what they're describing as a forensic animator to put the scene together, to say, okay, well, this is the inside of the bar. Where were you standing? I was standing right there. Where you know what I mean? And they create that scene, and now you can put the jury, you can put the judge directly in the position of the defendant, which that's fascinating to me, especially in these self-defense sort of cases where the mindset of the individual as to their personal safety is basically what's at issue.
Yeah, when I first heard about this story, immediately I was thinking like, well, that's a little out there, using VR technology like that. But then I remembered, I think it's about 1/3 of people cannot rotate a 3D object in their mind.
Yeah.
A significant portion of our population has no internal monologue. So this might be a better way of conceptualizing just what is going on for these people that don't have that ability, the imagination to put themselves in that situation. So ultimately, it could be a very net positive.
You bring up a really good point, because I forget, because I can manipulate 3D objects in my head. That's kind of part of what I do in my day job as a rocket scientist. The fact that other people don't see things that way, they can't simply rotate a room. He's like, imagine a room, now rotate the room, put yourself in the, like, a lot of people can't do that. There are people who are listening to me right now who cannot fathom exactly what I'm talking about. And some of those people end up on juries, and it makes it difficult to really explain what's going on in a situation where the spatial awareness is what's at issue, so that you bring up a really good point with that.
Yeah, and there was another case. This ex-boyfriend was mad. The ex-girlfriend was hiding at her dad's house. The guy was literally on video on the Ring camera trying to break into the house, despite the dad saying, "Stop, I'm armed." And so finally the guy got the door open, and the father shot him 3 times, right? And a lot of the comments were like, well, you could have just shot him in the leg. It's like, there are the people that think that life is some kind of John Wick movie where in those situations. So this might be an excellent way to remind people that you don't just sit there blank stare doing nothing.
Yeah.
These are the situations that cause some of these instances.
Yeah, I mean that's another good point. The why don't you shoot him in the leg defense is always one of those weird ones, because people who don't use firearms, who are not aware of them, or not aware of how difficult it is to stay on target when you're calm, let alone when your adrenaline's pumping and you actually feel as though your life is in danger. They don't understand that center mass is the only thing you can point at. Putting them in a situation, almost making it a game. Then you give them a little digital light gun or something like that, and it's like, okay, now you have to survive. You as a player of this game, you have to survive this scenario, and they realize, oh, I can't just shoot somebody in the leg. That doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm not just going to judo chop them and do a backflip and disarm them.
Yeah, exactly. No, this isn't the movies, people. It's real life. Although in New York, it seems as though New York is descending into basically the state it was where Snake Plissken had to escape. So New York City subways are still not safe. A suspect was arrested after a random stabbing spree inside of Grand Central Station resulted in 2 people being injured. A spokesperson for the New York City Police Department confirmed to Fox News Digital that 28-year-old Jason Sargent of Brooklyn was arrested for the assault on 2 random people. One, a 42-year-old man who he got into a verbal argument with, and he slashed him in the wrist. And moments later, he got into it with a 26-year-old woman, and he stabbed her in the neck. So EMS responded and transported both victims to local hospitals, where they both remain in stable condition. But my goodness, Grand Central Station is supposed to be the safe space. It's supposed to be the one spot in the New York system that you could assume is going to be the safest. That's where they had all of the what do you call them? The flash mob dancing and other stuff like that. Wow. It's Grand Central. It's because it's beautiful. It's like vaulted ceilings and everything like that. Everybody's seen it in the movies. Yeah, but now you can get stabbed.
Yeah, that's and if I remember correctly, he had prior convictions as well.
Oh yeah, he's known to law enforcement, as they say.
Yeah, so I don't want to encourage any vigilantes. But
defend yourself.
Defend yourself, and the only thing for evil to prosper is for good people to do nothing.
That's right. And we're seeing how the good people in these situations kind of get treated based on in the lawfare that was perpetrated against Daniel Penny, right? So a lot of people are a little hands off these days, and I'm not sure that's where we want to go as a society, but here we are. As we move now into, oh, is that my song? Turn on my song. I don't know why, but this song is it just feels like being chill. I just want to chill for a minute.
Oh yeah,
I want to chill for a minute and think about all the ways that the government wastes our money. That's what we're gonna do when we get back after the news break here on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show, 101.9, 94.1 News Talk SEL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. Gabe Pfeiffer. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Attention food lovers. Craving authentic kosher cuisine? Head to Nate's Kosher Deli in the heart of Creve Coeur's culinary scene. Formerly Cone's, Nate's is now under new ownership, offering an even greater selection of kosher items, from mouth-watering sandwiches to gourmet meats and fresh baked goods. There's something for everyone. Call 314-333-6283 or visit NatesKosherDeli.com. Experience the difference at Nate's Kosher Deli today. And don't forget to mention News Talk STL sent you.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
This is the actual precedent set why Bernie Sanders cannot have a 32-hour work week.
The Department of Labor wishes to report that the workers of Fredonia are demanding shorter hours.
Very well, we'll give them shorter hours. We'll start by cutting their lunch hour to 20 minutes.
Where's Fredonia?
Oh, it's it's right.
Oh, here we go.
It's on the southern part of Gooberstam. Yeah. And of course, Rufus T. Firefly was the leader of Fredonia.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9
on News Talk STL.
Tim Jones here for AMF Electric. AMF Electric's industrial team, noted for its go anywhere, meet any need, and delivered on-time service. In fact, over the last almost 60 years, AMF Electric has never failed to meet a customer's needed completion deadlines. At AMF Electric, they're unabashedly pro-American. They love to work with like-minded individuals and business owners who believe in freedom of economic choice. Call them, 314-647-4066. Online, amfelectric.com. That's amfelectric.com.
We aren't asking you to volunteer for CASA. We're asking you to advocate for
Alex,
Andre,
Ava,
Max,
Olivia, Ciara.
CASA volunteers make a lasting impact in a child's life in only a few volunteer hours a week. As a CASA volunteer, you support a child throughout their experience in foster care, advocating for their needs and ensuring their voice is heard.
Learn more at mocasa.org. Paid for by the Missouri CASA Association.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk. Live and local.
I need to know what's going on in my city.
News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. Gabe Pfeiffer. We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
All right, so at the end of the last hour, we talked about what we do with $1 billion lottery jackpot.
Yes.
So, and we had all kinds of lovely, dreams about, vacations and purchasing our islands and becoming a king. I mean, I'm sorry, that was me. That was just me. But a lot of people were saying, how they like to dream about being able to spend a ton of money on just anything, right? And just not being able to run out. Having the Brewster's Millions situation where, like, even if you tried your hardest, you're not going to spend the amount of money that is at your disposal. I love that idea. It's fun, and apparently though, people in the government don't have that issue.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, would it be worth buying just a mass amount of extra lottery tickets with that money?
just can constantly win the
But,
lottery.
Yeah, or would that be as effective as giving that much money to Kamala Harris, like one of our stream viewers suggested?
Yes, like if you wanted to be the guy who buys the lottery ticket as a Christmas present, right, and you just kind of spread the love around, yeah, I suppose it would be just as effective as the $1.5 billion that the Kamala Harris campaign spent on that fruitless debacle of a campaign of hers. In a couple months, you managed to spend the whole thing.
Ended in debt.
It ended in debt. It's kind of amazing. It's like, look, people donated to that, but that's actually what we should be expecting of our government, of the people who work in our government, because they are incredibly wasteful, because it's other people's money that they're spending. And the Festivus report, which was it's Senator Rand Paul's annual tradition now, lists some of the craziness that we're talking about. I don't have any sound on this, but he lists basically $1 trillion, a trillion
with a T,
with a T, not a billion with a B, because we're talking about $1.15 billion is the Mega Millions jackpot right now. I believe you can still buy a ticket. The drawing is tomorrow. We're talking about 100 times that.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
1/3 of or 1/35 of our national debt, right?
Yes, exactly. $1 trillion in government waste just from 2024.
Wow.
Now it goes from everything from the $720,000 that was spent for the conservation of ducks in Mexico to the $3 million given for, quote, girl-centered climate action in Brazil.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes. Okay. So these are the programs that get funded. That this is the pork that just gets stuffed into every single bill. Remember when we were talking about the government shutdown? Oh no, the government shutdown is coming. We must pass this 120-page omnibus continuing resolution or what have you, and all of the pork that was stuffed in there. And then we said no. We said no with prejudice, and they came back with okay. Well, here's this one. And it was a fraction of the size. Billions of dollars of pork was pulled out of that. And this is the type of stuff that usually gets through because it's like, oh, well, we have to keep the government running. Oh, we have to kick the can down the road again. We get the CR is necessary for the function of government. They would tell us, and they would say, hey, I'm going to kill this puppy unless you pass this bloated pork barrel spending palooza for me and my district.
Yeah, and on the if it's the same thing I'm thinking about on Christmas Eve when Susie Moore was with us, there was like $300,000 for safe spaces for bird watchers, which I thought meant maybe they're being attacked by the birds. No, it turns out it was for literally you can be separated into groups that you identify with, so you can have a safer
bird watching experience.
Exactly, it's just that sort of ridiculousness. Now, if I remember correctly, didn't we have a government shutdown under the Obama administration? Briefly?
I think that was I think a Republican Congress might have done that.
And did we somehow survive that, right?
I mean, yes, absolutely, we did. And here's the thing, and I keep bringing this up because I think it illustrates the point very poignantly. The Obama administration tried its hardest to make the regular people feel the government shutdown. He did things like he ordered barriers, like concrete barriers, to be put up on essentially public roads going through like public parks. Wow. He prevented World War II veterans from going to the memorials to their fallen brethren.
Unacceptable.
He did all it was almost as dumb as the COVID stuff when they were pouring sand into skate parks and covering basketball hoops with wood barriers so that kids wouldn't play outside. It's the same garbage, and they did all of this specifically because they knew nobody cares when the government shuts down. It doesn't affect us one whit. But if you make it, if you put a barrier on a public road, now we'll say, well, you can't go that way because the government is shut down. It's like, oh, get out of here. Nobody believes you, especially when you're spending $32,500 on breakdancing and $365,000 on circuses in city parks. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Why is the federal government paying for this stuff? Why can't the circus pay for itself? Why can't the circuit pay actually us, the public, money to use the public park? Because it belongs to the public, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, the more we actually pull the curtain back and look into this, the more it's sort of like, how did we get to a point where we are not questioning how our money is being spent? We have so many young people that are my age even, and a little bit older than me, that were like, well, if we just paid more taxes, all this stuff could be free and everything would be great. Well, this is how they're using our taxes.
Yeah.
I don't birdwatch. I don't break dance. I'm not a clown. Well, I'm an on-air clown.
Yeah. Well, people say we're clowns, but that's a whole other story. $3 million for a Mahatma Gandhi museum in Houston. I don't know how many Texans really, really need to know about Mahatma Gandhi and want to go see a museum to him. But $3 million seems like a lot for that. I mean, why is the federal government paying for it also? Why isn't the Indian government paying for a Mahatma Gandhi exhibit at a history museum?
Exactly.
And paying us, the federal government of the United States, to give them the room to do that. Why not do it that way? Why are we paying $3 million to build a brand new museum to Mahatma Gandhi? I mean, granted, Gandhi's an influential figure in history, but he's not our influential figure in history to begin with. Why did we spend $192,592 to put Starbucks espresso machines at the Pentagon?
Because I guess they're too good for Folgers, right?
No, yeah, you're not even getting Folgers. You're getting great value K cups. That's what you're getting. You're getting some straight up generic Walmart brand. That's what you're getting. I'm sorry. If you want to get the Starbucks, get it on your way in. Let's see, 4.5. And here's one of the big kickers. I mean, I'm talking thousands and millions here and there. $4.5 billion in payouts to the fraudsters for COVID relief funds. Remember how much money we were spending money like water during the whole COVID thing, and the fraud was rampant because how are you gonna remember how long they tell us it's going to take to set up a system of any sort of thing? Like, you know how long it's taking Sam Page to set up a system for us to not pay taxes, as seniors on our property tax. But they figured they were going to set up a system that'll track billions of dollars in COVID relief funds in a matter of weeks. I think they did it. And they were going to, it's like, don't worry about the fraud. Don't worry about it. $4.5 billion later, we're still dealing with this bullcrap.
Especially here in St. Louis under Mayor Tashara Jones.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And there are so many states who still have so much COVID money. They're trying to find ways to spend it.
Because they don't want to have to give it back.
It was a relief fund, wasn't it? Isn't relief supposed to be to get you over a hard time?
Yeah, hasn't the lockdown's been over for 2 years now?
Is it still a hard time? Is it a hard time if you have to figure out how to spend the money? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Look, when I was under financial hard times and somebody said, you know what, I'm going to give you X number of dollars, it was spent already. I already knew what it was going to go to because that's what hard times mean. You know what I mean? It's like I have things that I need to pay for that I can't. That's a hard time. If you said today, hey Gabe, I'm going to give you $348 million, or wait, $371 million from the Mega Millions jackpot. Well, now I have to figure out how to spend that.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a boondoggle.
Yes.
Why do we keep letting the government win the lottery with our money?
Yeah, this money, it's like if your friend's in a hard spot, you can lend him some money for the month's rent, but you don't go out and buy him a house. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And a luxury one at that.
Yeah.
Hey, you want a pool, man? I get you a pool too.
You want another island?
Yeah, yes. Here you go. Look, I'm so tired of the government spending all kinds of our money. I'm tired of us sending our hard-earned dollars to Washington just for them to spend it on underwater basket weaving courses for kids at Princeton. And we could actually, when we come back, I actually wanted to talk about something you brought up during one of the breaks. It's something going on at Princeton who do receive, they're a private institution, but they do receive federal money through various means. And we'll talk about some of the craziness that you're also paying for at Princeton once we get back on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. This is 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. When you head out early, a few of us are seeing these very small showers. And there's also some dense fog developing for places to the west. I don't expect the fog to be a widespread problem, but just watch for it if you are going to be out and about early today. Temperatures this afternoon under cloud cover will top out near 52 degrees. Watch for more rain to move in tonight. That continues through Friday, as well as rain chances into the weekend. And that's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Fox News commentary.
If a woman burned alive by an illegal doesn't cause you to support mass deportations, you may want to check your pulse. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
A sleeping woman burned alive on a New York subway. I can't get that image out of my head. And the suspect, well, you'll be shocked to hear, he is believed to be a Guatemalan migrant who had been previously deported and re-entered this country illegally. You know, it's unconscionable that a human being could be so evil to another human being, but it's even worse when you consider this horrific incident could have been prevented entirely. This is just another example of failed border policy coupled with failed sanctuary city protocols. The subways aren't safe. The city sidewalks aren't safe. Even running paths on college campuses have become unsafe. Americans have been forced to live in fear, and it's all man and policy created. But it doesn't have to be that way. Remember that next time you decide to vote for an open borders Democrat. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
Looking for top quality tactical gear and expert advice? Look no further than Discount Tactical, your one-stop shop for all things firearms and self-defense. Located in the heart of Warrenton, we've been serving the community for 3 years with our friendly, professional, and knowledgeable staff. From custom AR builds and silencers to the largest selection of parts, we've got you covered. Self-defense weapons, SBRs, knives, ammo, custom holsters, weapon lights, optics, and body armor. Discount Tactical, online at discounttacticalarmory.com, or stop by today and gear up with confidence.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
So what's going on?
Right here.
To me, this looks like the run-up to World War II.
News Talk STL.
They're playing with fire. Democrats are destroying the country.
News, analysis, opinion. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
Gabe Pfeiffer here, sitting in the big chair for Mike Ferguson on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. And Jerome, producer Jerome, is sitting in for Stell, and he's got something to share with you all coming out of the hallowed halls of academia. Jerome, what you got?
Yeah, so apparently our Ivy League universities just keep finding ways to waste more and more of students' times learning things that they don't need to know. So this comes from New York Post, and of course I saw this on Christmas Eve, because you can never just have a day of merriment and joyful enjoyment with your family.
Why we can't have nice things.
So Princeton University's Gender and Sexuality Studies program will offer classes on topics like sex work and queer spaces during its upcoming spring semester, incorporating topics like erotic dance, pornography, and more, according to the online course listing. The institution will offer 5 total courses that contain the word queer in their course descriptions, including love, anthropological explorations, queer spaces in the world, profit, power, and pleasure, sex workers and sex work, disabilities and the politics of life, and the poetics of memory, fragility, and liberation, which apparently is also somehow tied into sex and queerness, which,
okay.
Why?
Okay. Well, first of all, I mean, you had me at the queer studies program. It's like, because apparently there's a whole program. Go back to the beginning of that story, because you said the so-and-so program is offering these courses. The
university's Gender and Sexuality Studies program.
Gender and Sexuality Studies program. Look, here, this is just a rule of thumb. This is from me. Just don't take this as gospel. This is for me. If the course has studies in the name, it's garbage. If every time I've heard of a something studies course at a university, absolute trash, waste of time, waste of money. They would not be spending this kind of effort to have these sort of programs unless they were just swimming in cash.
Yes. And so just to further emphasize that I'm not exaggerating. So one of the courses explores the intricate lives and intimate narrative of sex workers from the perspective of the sex workers themselves.
Okay. So
and don't worry, they're not indoctrinating you, but they're just training you to be OnlyFans stars, I guess.
Princeton educated OnlyFans stars.
Didn't Princeton used to mean something? Wasn't that like a prestigious university?
I thought the stereotype was always that she was stripping to send herself through school, not going to school to become a stripper. You know what I mean? It's like what happened? Why are we here, people? Why are we here? Actually, I can answer that. I can actually answer that. Let me take a minute here. I know we still want to talk about Maha a little bit, but let me digress just a moment. I think the fact that there is federal money on the table for education is the problem.
Yes.
So once the federal government starts subsidizing something, all of a sudden it becomes a luxury, and people treat it like a luxury, even though they talk about it like it's a necessity. If the federal government said, okay, we're going to subsidize milk, everybody gets a gallon of milk, or actually the federal government is going to reduce the cost of a gallon of milk by half. People are going to buy 2 gallons of milk even when they don't want it, even if they don't need it, because it costs almost nothing, because the federal government is footing the other part of the bill.
And part of that milk's probably going to go to waste.
The milk's going to go to waste, or maybe we're going to develop an entire economy of milk-based products now, or milk-based recipes. Now we need to use all of this. It's like, we got a whole bunch of milk. Why don't we use it for something? I don't know. Let's have these milk, and then all of a sudden we're going to develop a problem with all the lactose intolerant people in the world dealing with all of the milk. So then a new economy has to rise up to deal with all that. So that's kind of what we've got going with the education system right now. They're swimming in government money. So now, in order to spend the government money, because it's just all over, they're going to create something studies program. Because you can create out of an entire school. You raise up an entire. There's the School of Engineering. There's the School of the Math and Sciences. There's all of these schools of. There's the pre-law. There's pre-med. All of these things that lead to something of worth. But then you have queer studies. You have gender studies. You have African American studies. Look, I love my Black people. We don't need a whole course. You don't need a whole course to understand us. And first of all, what's your job going to be after you get out? All of the studies courses are whole schools, the equivalent in size to the schools that actually produce people who do things in our society. They're filled with teachers, administrators, and students who pay to be there, and also bring federal dollars with them from the various programs that they qualify for, like the Pell Grants and all that. So they bring all that money to the school, and the school says, "Hey, we got more students. We got more space. We need now a student union to protect all the queer people on campus. So we're going to create a new dean of students for the queer people, at $250,000 a year salary, and he, she, it, z, zer, or whatever also needs a staff of he, she, it, zer, zers, right? So it's all a boondoggle. Once the federal money is rolling in, now they can do whatever the heck they want, and they can spend money on this bullcrap. I guarantee you, if you could only get a college education, if you could convince a bank to give you money to do it, all of the useless degrees would go away instantly, because the bank would say, "Oh, you want to study what? You're not getting money from this bank because you'll never pay it back."
Now, the thing that I'm also curious is what these textbooks are going to look like. Those are already overpriced. But going into that, talking about lactose intolerance, don't give them any ideas, because they're going to do lactose intolerance studies, how to fight dairy phobia.
Dairy phobia.
Just tolerate it, man.
Just tolerate it. Now that gets us back into health, right? The health realm, because we were talking about MAHA earlier, Make America Healthy Again, which is kind of an effort that the Trump administration is putting forward to under the leadership of RFK Jr., who's very much on that kick, to remove some of the unhealthy and deadly ingredients that exist in our food and water supply. And we were talking about the fact that fluoride at certain concentrations has detrimental effects on IQ, and that there are many millions of Americans who live in areas that are dependent on water systems with that level or higher concentrations of fluoride. And that's in addition to the forever chemicals and the certain types of bioengineered food stuffs, the seed oils, estrogen mimicking chemicals, the pesticides, all of these things that can contribute to the chronic health problems that we've been dealing with in America. And one wonders how deep that goes. You know what I mean? When you jump down the rabbit hole of Make America Healthy Again, how many things are we going to have to give up? How many things are we going to have to change in our system in order to actually get from point A to point B?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, going to the fluoride thing real quick, too, there's a study released last year that showed that the children that are exposed to above certain safe levels of fluoride, it actually stunts their brain development.
Yeah.
So it's not just about harming IQs. It's about potentially affecting somebody's potential to grow. And then going back to when I was a freshman in college, there was a major study that came out showing that high fructose corn syrup, which is in pretty much everything, it lights up your brain and brain scans the same way that cocaine does. It hits the same receptor. So when you think about receptor fatigue and how that can affect you, we're giving kids, young adults, developing people this stuff that is overstimulating them and causing extra neuron activation. And so, of course, we're going to be all fatigued. We're going to be lazy. We're not going to want to do anything because we are just constantly bombarded with things that are not good for us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The fluoride thing hitting a certain centers of the brain kind of reminds me actually of what social media does. Also, people forget or people don't realize that social media actually has a health effect, particularly on young people, because it hits their pleasure response sensors the same way that drugs do. And so you get the dopamine hit every time you scroll, every time you get a like on your post or what have you. And similarly, if you get a dislike or if you get a negative comment, you're getting kind of a downer. Essentially, it's the equivalent of a drug-induced downer, as opposed to the uppers of the other interaction. So our kids are getting basically addicted to unhealthy foods and high fructose corn syrup and unhealthy social practices in social media. And we wonder why they can't sit still in school. They can't learn anything. They can't function. They can't deal with emotional situations. They throw tantrums. They throw stuff at people. They have violent outbursts. They are sometimes incapable of processing new information and therefore cannot be reasoned with. And by the time they get to be an adult and all of those impulses of theirs have been coddled or drugged with other synthetics, with Adderall and the like, they're basically mindless zombies who are going to respond to whatever TikTok strikes their fancy.
Yeah. What chance do they even have?
What chance do they have? So it's rough. I think all of these things are connected, and I'm glad that there's going to be a push to deal with them. My only worry is that we're not going to be diligent enough to stick with it, because these are long-term issues that have been brewing for at least 2 generations. How are we going to fix this if not with a 2, 3, 4 generational effort? Right.
Well, it's going to take some time.
It's going to take some time to fix, and we have to be going full bore the entire time. So, we're coming up to the last segment of the day, and I've been teasing this a little bit, almost all day. I think I started the show teasing this, but swear words. I'm going to talk about swear words and what state has the most potty mouths. The answer might surprise you when you come back on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show on 1019 94.1 News Talk SDL.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine in or carry out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at southernarmory.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
From News Talk STL and Larry Connors USA, wishing you a blessed Christmas and a happy Hanukkah.
Larry Connors USA.
Now weeknights 6 until 8
on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning. Gabe Pfeiffer. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
You guys in the Rumble chat are hilarious. I love it that you're always interacting with us and giving us some good commentary. Righty Right says they must have an extra fluoride at St. Louis City Hall.
Very right.
Yes, because they are definitely not just 5 points IQ behind the rest of us. They're more like 15, 20 points behind us. But this is Gabe Pfeiffer sitting in for Mike Ferguson. Rolling into the last segment of the show, I got producer Jerome here sitting in for Stell. And in the last few minutes here that we've got, I wanted to talk about this list that I saw asking the question that what U.S. state swears the most. Now, this study maps the number of swear words per 1,000 online messages posted by Americans on Twitter, and it's based on an analysis of 1.7 million geotagged tweets. Okay, so they know where you live, and they can get you. But they know what state you're coming out of, and they looked at how many swear words you had per 1,000. Now, I don't have to explain to you what a swear word is, and also the FCC would have my behind if I use too many of them. But okay, so just as a guess, Jerome, I want you to be kind of the everyman in the room. Just if you had to guess which state is producing the tweets with the most F-bombs in it or whatever, what state is coming out on top?
Oh man. My initial instinct is just to say New York.
That's my instinct too. Now the F-bomb in New York is basically a filler word. It's the effing thing though on the effing, so the effing guy was doing the effing. Yes. That was my experience growing up. Our boss Jeff walks by the windows looking at me as it's like, don't you do it. Don't you mess
delay
up.
Ready.
Don't you cuss on this here radio. So that was my presumption, but it is not. So let me start at the bottom of the list actually. So coming in at 21 swear words per 1,000 online messages. So it's actually, pretty tepid. South Dakota. So they're God-fearing people up there.
Well, Sturgis is up there.
Exactly. So you can tell what's going on there. So 21 is significantly lower than I think a lot of them.
Yeah, that seems really low for just in general.
Yeah, that's that. Well, the numbers actually panned out not to be too crazy. With New York actually came in at 40.7. 40.7 swear words per 1,000 online messages. Some of the other top numbers came out of the big states, actually. The biggest states, with Alaska, California, Texas, and Florida all in the 43, 44 word range.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Now, once you start getting into the mid-Atlantic area, that's when it starts turning up. You got 40, 45 in Pennsylvania and Michigan, 47 in Ohio, and then Maryland.
Huh.
Maryland takes the top spot, even beating out Georgia at 57 and Louisiana at 61.
Jeez.
Maryland takes the top spot at 66.3 cuss words
Wow.
per 1,000 online messages. So it's kind of interesting. It's like, what are you guys doing in Maryland?
I thought Maryland was supposed to be like a nice state.
Yeah, right. That's what I would think. Most of my siblings live in Maryland, and they do not cuss.
See, I would have. For some reason, I also wanted to say Wyoming, like just people sitting there saying, "Wow, I'm still stuck in this effing state." You know, someone get me out of Wyoming. You know.
Now to be fair, of the the map I'm looking at is kind of color coded, with blue being sort of the lightest of the spectrum here. They are surrounded by blue, Wyoming, but they're purple.
Wow.
so they I guess of among the mountain range area states, I guess, then the northwestern states, Wyoming is the most dirty, the most potty mouthed of them all. with Colorado, actually, you go a little further south than that. Colorado's 40.5, so
wow.
they're cussing up a storm in there. But I think mostly that's due to their the weed. But interestingly enough, Colorado and New York are pretty much on par with one another.
That's very interesting.
Which is weird.
Where's Missouri at?
Now, Missouri comes in at 30.3. So we're actually towards the bottom.
Oh.
Now this is all of Missouri. So, I imagine that now I don't say this too particularly lightly, but the blue areas are probably more potty mouth than the red
Kansas
areas.
City and St. Louis probably pulling the bird in there.
I'm just saying that a lot of these areas, I'm pretty sure if you broke it down by county, it would look very much like the voting maps for red versus blue in the last election. But I'm just saying. But Maryland, I suspect there might be a lot of cussing going on in Maryland, because that's where a lot of people who live in Washington live, or who work in Washington live in Maryland.
That makes sense.
Right? So Washington, D.C., the hub of government waste, abuse. The swamp, absolutely. What did the one representative was talking about? Sex parties and whatnot. It seems like a wretched hive of scum and villainy to me. So I would imagine then that if Maryland was going to absorb all of the wretchedness of Washington, D.C., it makes sense that it would top the list of the most potty mouth states based on tweets. So I thought I'd bring us a little lighthearted fun there as we bring the show to a close here. Thanks, guys, for talking to me this morning and for joining us on the Rumble and everything. Thanks, Jerome, for handling the wheels of steel. You did a very fine job.
Thank you.
I will be back behind this chair tomorrow, so don't worry about that. Jerome, are you coming back? You're gonna?
Oh, I'm here all week, all the way through New Year's Eve. So
okay, so
see you guys again.
You and me again. But I think this time we're gonna have Danny Define joining us on Friday, and we get a little more spicy, I think, in some of our commentary, because Danny's real good about that stuff with his Next Gen show on the weekends, 8 to 9, I believe, on Sundays.
Yes, sir.
And he'll be here to bring the fire and hopefully also to bring his magnificent Trump impression, because I think he does a really good.
Oh, it was really good. I saw the Halloween photos he had where he was dressed up like Trump, and he pulled it off to a T.
Oh yeah, it's excellent. I'm looking forward to that. So thanks again, guys. This has been Mike Ferguson, the Morning Show. Gabe 5 for sitting in. We got Vic Porcelli coming up. I think we've got a guest host in Bill Eigel, I think, is sitting in for Vic Porcelli. Stay tuned for that. This is 1019 94.1 News Talk STL on your radio.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial.